ये अफगानी है।
तो अपने ये सिंधिया फैमिली ग्वालियर तक पहुंच गया क्या?
हाँ।
एक्चुअली ये उनको है ना, ये लोग सातारा से थे, ये सिंधिया फैमिली। कन्नेर खेड़ करके गांव है, कन्नेर खेड़।
अच्छा।
दानोती शिंदे पेशवा बाजीराव के सर्वेंट थे। उनको वहां की जागीर मिली थी, बाद में वो आगे बढ़े। समझा क्या? सिंधिया मराठा है ना? हेलो। अच्छा, ग्वालियर को पहला कौन रूल करता था? सिंधिया के पहले कौन रूल करता था? राजिया। भीम सिंह राणा। वैष्णव। बोला तो बोलते रहे ना नाजिया। व्हाट वाज द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन होलकर? व्हाट इज द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन होलकर एंड सिंधिया?
नहीं, किधर से क्या है? हाँ, होलकर।
होलकर में और सिंधिया में भी झगड़ा था।
हाँ, इनके ऊपर से सेकंड ये हुआ था। सेकंड एंग्लो मराठा वॉर।
प्रियदर्शनी राजे सिंधिया बड़ौदा में दिया।
शिंदे ग्वालियर से थे ना? बड़ौदा से गायकवाड़ थे।
हाँ, तो शादी करा ना उनकी, सिंधिया की बेटी गायकवाड़ भी
हाँ।
दी उन्होंने।
अच्छा।
तमिलनाडु में भी मराठा रूल था, वेंकोजी भोसले।
तमिलनाडु।
ग्वालियर में तोमर रूल करते थे, तोमर, TOMAR। मानसिंह तोमर का नाम सुना था क्या? मानसिंह तोमर।
हाँ, मानसिंह तोमर का सुना है।
होलकर्स किधर के थे? होलकर या धंगर थे, धंगर। एक एक गांव का नाम था उनका, होल या हाल। वहां से वो लोग माइग्रेट किया ना, तो होलकर नाम दिया। अभी जो उनका जो महारानी है ना, उसका नाम है उषा देवी होलकर। वो 15 महारानी ऑफ इंदौर है। ये होलकर डायनेस्टी किसने चालू किया था? मल्हार राव होलकर। उनका फोर्ट भी अहिल्या फोर्ट।
ऐसा था।
माधवराव सिंधिया का जो ग्रैंडफादर थे ना, उसका नाम था जीवाजीराव सिंधिया। अच्छा, शिंदे का सिंधिया क्यों हो गया? एक्चुअली तो शिंदे बोलना चाहिए ना, माजी शिंदे। नाजिया
हाँ
सुन
वो,
रही क्या?
हाँ सर, वो ब्रिटिश प्रोनाउंसिएशन है, ब्रिटिश वैसे लिखते थे, हिस्टोरिकल डॉक्यूमेंट जो है मैक्सिमम ब्रिटिश ने लिखा है, तो वो शिंदे उनको प्रोनाउंस करने नहीं आता था, तो शिंदिया बोलते थे।
हाँ, ये राणोजी राव सिंधिया का डायनेस्टी था। ये सिंधिया वो मराठा कुंभी है, कुंभी कुंभी मराठा। होलकर ये दंगर है। ये ऐसा क्यों बोलते हैं इसको? ग्वालियर को ऐसा क्यों बोलते हैं, कॉल्ड जिब्राल्टर ऑफ इंडिया?
जिब्राल्टर?
हाँ,
वर्ल्ड में
जिब्राल्टर बोल रहा
जिब्राल्टर
हूँ
मुझे पता। जिब्राल्टर नाम का एक ये है, स्ट्रेट है जो अटलांटिक और पैसिफिक ओशियन को जोड़ता है, बट ग्वालियर को जिब्राल्टर क्यों बोलते हैं ये देखना पड़ेगा।
ना। ये ग्वालियर में जो मोती महल किसने बनाया?
मोती।
जयाजीराव सिंधिया। ग्वालियर फोर्ट किसने बनाया, ग्वालियर फोर्ट?
ग्वालियर फोर्ट?
राजे शौर्य सेन। ये वहां पे रॉक्स क्या मिलता? ओ नाजिया मैडम, रॉक्स,
हाँ सर।
बेसाल्टिक रॉक
एमपी में।
मिलता, मालूम है ना?
बेसाल्टिक रॉक इसके वजह से, डेक्कन प्लेटू की वजह से। बेसाल्टिक रॉक जो आगे जाके ब्लैक सॉइल बनती है। और ये बेसाल्टिक रॉक क्यों बनता है? क्योंकि डेक्कन प्लेटू है, वो डेक्कन प्लेटू का ही पार्ट है। डेक्कन प्लेटू बना था वोल्केनिक इरप्शन से। तो
जब
सर इंडियन
1950
प्लेट।
में इंडिया को इंडिपेंडेंस मिला ना, तो होलकर का नाम दिया था, उसका नाम था यशवंतराव होलकर।
हाँ, यशवंतराव होलकर।
ये अहमद शाह अब्दाली कब आया इंडिया में, अहमद शाह अब्दाली?
थर्ड
और ये
बैटल के टाइम
दुर्रानी
से सर।
एम्पायर, क्या दुर्रानी एम्पायर मालूम है?
नहीं। अहमद शाह पहले। अहमद शाह अब्दाली के टाइम पर ही थर्ड पानीपत हुआ था, मराठाओं के बीच में और उनके बीच में। दुर्रानी अंपायर से ही वो बिलोंग करता था, क्योंकि उसका नाम पूरा अहमद शाह दुर्रानी है।
होलकर ने फिर बाद
अहमद
में
शाह
शादी
अब्दाली।
किया आउट ऑफ ब्रिटिशर से शादी किया। ये परागना वर्ड कहाँ से आता नाजिया, परागना? परागना
परगना मतलब विलेज को बोला
शिवाजी
जाता
महाराज
था।
के जमाने से आता।
हाँ, विलेज
परागना
को बोला जाता था।
मतलब क्या?
विलेज। परगना मतलब विलेज होता था।
पहले बारामती नहीं था, सुपा परागना था, सुपा। और ये था परांडा भी परागना था। बल्लावराव होळकर।
मल्हारराव
ग्वालियर के
होळकर।
प्रिंसेस का नाम क्या है? वो ज्योतिराजे सिंधिया की बेटी है और बड़ौदा की प्रिंसेस है। जैसा
यशवंतराव।
पटौड़ी का पैलेस है ना, बहुत सारा फिल्म शूटिंग होता। नवाब पटौड़ी, सैफ अली खान। वैसा यहाँ का भी एक ये है, क्या बोलते हैं, यहाँ भी एक ग्वालियर में भी एक पैलेस है, मतलब।
ग्वालियर में
अच्छा।
पैलेस? नहीं पता सर, ग्वालियर में पैलेस है?
म्यूजियम बना है।
अच्छा।
और जो वर्ड यूज किया, इंग्लिश वर्ड यूज किया उन्होंने, इवोकेटिव। इवोकेटिव। EVOCATIVE।
ओके ठीक।
ठीक है, अभी कंटिन्यू कर दो, क्या पढ़ा अभी, कंटिन्यू कर रहा।
हाँ,
ज्योग्राफी।
हम एमपी का देख रहे थे ना। एमपी में टोटल 7 टाइगर रिजर्व है। सबसे ज्यादा टाइगर रिजर्व अगर कहीं मिलते हैं तो वो एमपी में है। और इंडिया में कितने हैं टोटल, इस पे से क्वेश्चंस आते हैं एग्जाम में। 54। अभी जो 54th है वो एमपी से ही है। एमपी में पहले 6 थे। अभी ये इंडिया में 54 जो है, वही एमपी का 7th है। उसका नाम क्या है? वीरांग, उसका नाम नौरा देवी, नौरा देवी था। बट अभी इसका चेंज हो गया है। इसका नाम चेंज होकर बन गया है वीरांगना दुर्गावती। ये जो है गढ़वाल की रानी थी ये, जिन्होंने ब्रिटिश के खिलाफ लड़ा था। और इसलिए वो बहुत फेमस हो गए थे उस टाइम पर, वीरांगना दुर्गावती। इन्हीं के नाम से अभी ये नौरादेही नेशनल पार्क जो है, या फिर टाइगर रिजर्व है, उसका नाम चेंज होकर वीरांगना दुर्गावती बना। अब एग्जाम में ऐसे क्वेश्चंस फ्रेम होते हैं, इंडिया में टोटल टाइगर रिजर्व कितने हैं? तो 54 है। और 54 टाइगर रिजर्व कहाँ पर है? नौरादेही टाइगर रिजर्व, जो कि एमपी का पार्ट है, मतलब एमपी में है। और अभी इसका नाम चेंज हुआ है तो वीरांगना दुर्गावती, ये नाम याद रखना है। इसी से क्वेश्चंस बनते हैं। अगर इसी के ऊपर और एक क्वेश्चन अगर उनको फ्रेम करना है तो ऐसे भी कर सकते हैं कि 53rd कौन सा है। कोई भी चीज अगर आप कर रहे हो तो एक तो लेटेस्ट करना है, और एक प्रीवियस ईयर वाला करना है। तो इससे पहले जो नेशनल पार्क या फिर टाइगर रिजर्व ऐड हुआ था, उसका नाम था रानीपुर टाइगर रिजर्व। रानीपुर टाइगर रिजर्व, जो कि यूपी में है। ये 53rd था। तो लेटेस्ट वाला है कि याद रखना, और इससे प्रीवियस वाला। इसी पे एग्जाम में क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, एनडीए में तो ऐसे क्वेश्चंस आते ही है। कौन सा टाइगर रिजर्व या फिर कौन सा नेशनल पार्क कहाँ पर है, स्टेट पूछा जाता है। अभी इसके बाद देखते हैं एलिफेंट वाला सेंसस। ये हो गया ना? ये नहीं हुआ? एलिफेंट सेंसस ये कंडक्ट हुआ है 2023 में, बस बट इसके रिलेटेड जो इन्फॉर्मेशन है वो अलग अलग एग्जाम में पूछी जाती है। उस सेंसस का नाम क्या था? एशियन एलिफेंट पॉपुलेशन। एशियन एलिफेंट पॉपुलेशन एंड डेमोग्राफी 2023। सबसे ज्यादा एलिफेंट इस सेंसस के अकॉर्डिंग, सबसे ज्यादा एलिफेंट कहाँ पर है? कर्नाटका में। और कितने हैं वो? 6395। कितने हैं ये याद नहीं रखा तो भी चलेगा, रफ फिगर याद रखो, अराउंड 6000 है। सबसे ज्यादा कहाँ पर है ये फिगर, ये याद रखना है। स्टेट कौन सा है जहाँ पर ज्यादा एलिफेंट्स हमको मिलते हैं? तो है वो कर्नाटक। वर्ल्ड एलिफेंट डे कब होता है? वर्ल्ड एलिफेंट डे 12 अगस्त को होता है। ये डेज भी आपको याद रखने, एग्जाम में पूछे जाते हैं। जैसे कि एक एग्जाम में पूछा गया था, 22 मार्च को कौन सा दिन होता है? मैथ्स दी पेयर था एक्चुअल वो। तो उसमें 22 मार्च को होता है वर्ल्ड वाटर डे। वैसे ही आपको सारे डेज जो इम्पोर्टेंट वाले वो याद रखने हैं। इससे पहले हमने देखा था वर्ल्ड टाइगर डे 29 जुलाई को होता है। अभी वर्ल्ड एलिफेंट डे 12 अगस्त को होगा। इंडिया में टोटल टाइगर, ये अपना एलिफेंट रिजर्व कितने हैं? जैसे टाइगर रिजर्व जो है वो 54 है। वैसे एलिफेंट रिजर्व इंडिया में 33 है। 33 एलिफेंट रिजर्व। सबसे ज्यादा जो रिजर्व पाए जाते हैं वो है तमिलनाडु में। एलिफेंट का नंबर अगर ज्यादा कहाँ पर है ऐसे क्वेश्चन आता है तो आंसर रहेगा कर्नाटका। लेकिन एलिफेंट रिजर्व, रिजर्व
एलिफेंट
मतलब
को
वहां
मारने
पे।
के लिए ना, एलिफेंट को मारने के लिए पाइनएप्पल के अंदर ये रखते हैं, क्या बोलते हैं, एक्चुअली रखा गया था वो पिग्स को मारने के लिए, वाइल्ड बोर्स को। वो एलिफेंट मर गया, कंट्रोवर्सी हो गया था। साइलेंट वैली, साइलेंट वैली
हाँ,
गूगल कर, जबरदस्त प्लेस है
केरला में।
केरला में। वहां पे एक एलिफेंट मारा गया तो बहुत कंट्रोवर्सी हो गया था। साइलेंट वैली से क्या है, वो भी एक रिजर्व है। वहां पे ना लायन टेल्ड मंकी मिलता है, मकाऊ बोलते हैं उसको, मकाऊ।
अच्छा,
वो बहुत
हाँ।
एक्सटिंक्ट है। साइलेंट वैली गूगल कर, उसकी वजह से वो पूरा फॉरेस्ट सेंचुरी। चेक कर, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है वो। जैसे अपन
साइलेंट
माथेरान
वैली।
में जाते हैं ना, वहाँ कोई गाड़ी अलाउड नहीं है। 23 किलोमीटर तक फॉरेस्ट है।
नीलगिरी हिल्स वगैरह जो है उसका पार्ट है साइलेंट वैली नेशनल पार्क, जो केरला में आता है। हो गया। वेस्टर्न घाट का पार्ट है वो, साइलेंट वैली नेशनल पार्क। चलो आगे देखते हैं। कितने हैं टोटल इंडिया में एलिफेंट रिजर्व? 33। सबसे ज्यादा एलिफेंट रिजर्व कहाँ पर है? तमिलनाडु और आसाम।
नाम बता, तमिलनाडु के नहीं रहे एलिफेंट रिजर्व के नाम बता। है नाम? केरला में एलिफेंट रिजर्व नहीं है क्या नाजिया?
होंगे सर, कम है ये, मैक्सिमम वाले दिए हैं उन्होंने सेंसस के अकॉर्डिंग।
अच्छा, नाम बता
एलिफेंट
तमिलनाडु के एलिफेंट रिजर्व के नाम क्या? केरला के एलिफेंट
एलिफेंट
रिजर्व।
रिजर्व एक है थेप्पाकाडू एलिफेंट रिजर्व, सही है। नाम कहाँ है इसका? हाँ, अगस्त्य मलाई। इस पे भी क्वेश्चन बनते हैं अगर उनको पूछना है मैथ्स द पेयर में, तो अगस्त्य मलाई कहाँ पर है ऐसे पूछा
इसलिए
जाता है।
मैं पूछा कि मैंने एक बार देखा था, 4 स्टेट का नाम दिया था उन्होंने, और 4 ये दिया था, क्या बोलते, रिजर्व दिया
अच्छा।
था। तो
हाँ।
फिर वो एक आधा भी याद रहेगा ना अपने को, तो ऑटोमेटिकली वो मैच होता ना, सट्टा।
हाँ, यही है जो फिफ्थ वाला टाइगर, ये अपना एलिफेंट रिजर्व है तमिलनाडु का, वो यही है फिफ्थ वाला जो लेटेस्ट है वो,
केरला में 4 है।
केरला में।
कावेरी एलिफेंट पार्क है, कावेरी के बारे में बात कर रहा है जरा, कावेरी का क्या कंट्रोवर्सी है?
कावेरी
कावेरी
का।
नदी
हाँ, कावेरी का जो पानी है उसको लेकर कंट्रोवर्सी है। ये
कौन से 2 स्टेट के बीच
तमिलनाडु,
में कंट्रोवर्सी है? और अगर 2 स्टेट के बीच में झगड़ा हो गया तो कौन
कर्नाटका।
मैटर सुलझाएगा? हाई
हाँ,
कोर्ट के सुप्रीम कोर्ट?
ये पहले मैटर इसमें जाता है ट्रिब्यूनल में, या फिर एक रिवर बोर्ड करके रहता है, इसके पास मैटर जाता है। अगर नहीं सॉर्ट हो रहा है तो फिर आगे हाईएस्ट बॉडी इसमें इन्वॉल्व होती है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट। कावेरी रिवर का जो पानी है, वो जो उसका बेसिन है वो काफी ज्यादा बड़ा है, तो वो कर्नाटक, तमिलनाडु, पुडुचेरी ऐसे एरियाज में से फ्लो होती है। तो कावेरी के पानी को लेकर कंट्रोवर्सी चल रहा है। कर्नाटका बोल रहा है कि इसका मैक्सिमम पानी हमें मिलना चाहिए, तमिलनाडु भी वही क्लेम करता है कि हमें मैक्सिमम पानी मिलना चाहिए। तो कावेरी का ओरिजिन है एक्चुअल कहाँ पर? कर्नाटका में है, ब्रह्मगिरी हिल।
फेमस जो
ब्रह्मगिरी।
तमिलनाडु में 4 है ना, एक का नाम क्या है क्या? नलियाम्बती, नलियाम्बती, अन्नामलाई मालूम, माउंटेन अन्नामलाई।
हाँ, अन्नामलाई।
अनाईमुड़ी, अनाईमुड़ी।
अन्नामलाई, अन्नाईमुड़ी, दोनों
हाँ।
वेस्टर्न घाट के पीक्स
और
है।
केरला में जो है ना, वो पेरियार एलिफेंट रिजर्व है।
हाँ,
पेरियार में
पेरियार
वो
नाम की
अगस्त्य
रिवर
मलाई
भी है।
बोलता है, अगस्त्य मलाई।
अगस्त्य मलाई तमिलनाडु और केरला दोनों के बीच में आता है, तमिलनाडु और केरला।
ऑनलाइन
एलिफेंट रिजर्व, तमिलनाडु का 5th एलिफेंट रिजर्व है वो। बट उसका जो एरिया है वो केरला और तमिलनाडु दोनों में फैला हुआ, इतना बड़ा वो रिजर्व है।
सबसे ज्यादा एलिफेंट कौन सा किधर है केरला में? त्रिशूर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में, क्योंकि वहाँ गुरुवायूर टेम्पल है। गुरुवायूर, गुरुवायूर टेम्पल फेमस है।
हम्म, केरला।
सर तो टेम्पल का नाम ही जो गजराजा, गुरुवायूर। नीमूर में रॉयल फैमिली था।
सबसे मेन चीज, महाराष्ट्र में एक भी एलिफेंट रिजर्व नहीं है। एक भी एलिफेंट रिजर्व महाराष्ट्र में नहीं है। एलिफेंट पाए जाते हैं बट रिजर्व ऐसे स्पेशली उनके लिए बनाया हुआ रिजर्व महाराष्ट्र में नहीं है। और एलिफेंट्स को कंजर्व करने के लिए 1992 से एफर्ट्स चालू है। उनके ऊपर एक प्रोजेक्ट लॉन्च करा था, एलिफेंट, प्रोजेक्ट एलिफेंट। जैसे प्रोजेक्ट टाइगर है वैसे प्रोजेक्ट एलिफेंट 1992 से। अगर पूछना है क्वेश्चन तो ऐसे भी मैच द पेयर में पूछा जाता है, प्रोजेक्ट टाइगर कब का है, कौन से ईयर का, प्रोजेक्ट एलिफेंट कब स्टार्ट हुआ था। तो ये ईयर याद रखना है, डेट याद नहीं रखा तो भी चलेगा, बट ईयर याद रखना है। प्रोजेक्ट एलिफेंट 1992 का है, और प्रोजेक्ट टाइगर अभी हमने देखा 1973। ये पूछने के चांसेस है क्योंकि इसको 2023 में 100 इयर्स कंप्लीट हुए।
हम्म।
अभी इंडिया में 100 इयर्स नहीं होते हैं इसको।
ना क्या?
1973 50 इयर्स होते हैं। हाँ सर।
ना क्या?
हाँ
आवाज आ रही
सर।
क्या? ये वायनाड,
हाँ आ रही है।
वायनाड में भी एलिफेंट रिजर्व है।
हाँ वेनाड।
पे भी 2 बार कुछ सीट से जीता तो उसको रिजाइन करना पड़ता। ऐसे इंडिया में कितने केसेस हो गए, कितने बार इलेक्शन हुआ जिसमें एक ही कैंडिडेट 2 इलेक्शन लड़ा था? उसका पूरा डिटेल निकालना। प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी भी 2 बार लड़े थे। उससे पहले कौन लड़ा था 2 बार? नाजिया,
हाँ सर, देख रही हूँ।
अभी वायनाड से, हाँ, प्रियंका गांधी खड़ी है ना, तो प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी एक तो उधर से थे, लखनऊ से थे और गांधीनगर से थे, गुजरात से और यूपी से थे। उससे पहले ऐसा
राहुल
किसने, पहला
गांधी।
किसने चालू किया कि 2 जगह से इलेक्शन के लिए खड़ा होंगे? ये पेरियार एलिफेंट रिजर्व है। पेरियार काय के लिए फेमस है? महाराष्ट्र में जैसे
पेरियार एक
डॉक्टर बाबा
रिजर्व
साहेब
है।
अम्बेडकर फेमस है ना, वैसे तमिलनाडु केरला में पेरियार फेमस है।
हाँ, ईवीआर
पेरियार
रामास्वामी।
एक आदमी का नाम है।
हाँ, ईवीआर रामास्वामी नाम है उनका
हाँ।
एक्चुअल।
और अनाईमुड़ी, अनाईमुड़ी जो है उसके बारे में बताना। जोड़ा बेट्टा, अनाईमुड़ी हिल्स क्या है?
वेस्टर्न घाट के सारे
और
हिल्स
निलंबुर
हैं।
में, निलंबुर एक इलाका का नाम है जहाँ पे टीक वुड मिलता। टीक वुड, टीक का म्यूजियम है। और टीक का के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है? चंदन, बहुत ज्यादा उसका स्मगलिंग क्यों होता? मेरे को बता रहा नाजिया, देखो पूछ रहा। अदर देन
हाँ।
राहुल गांधी एंड प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी, हु हु क्या रिप्रेजेंटेड लोक सभा इन 2 डिफरेंट असेंबली कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी?
मोदी का
और
पता
जीता
है
कौन,
मुझे, वो
मतलब कौन,
गुजरात और
दो
यूपी
जगह से
दोनों
खड़ा हो
जगह
गया
से थे।
और दोनों से जीता। नौकर को कर दिया। उल्टा सोचने का ना।
जैसे
कौन से? सबसे पहले किसने ऐसा 2 इलेक्शन जीता या 2 इलेक्शन में खड़ा थे? सुन रहा है क्या?
हाँ देख रही हूँ। 2 6। सर ऐसा पूछ रहे हैं कि ऐसा कौन सा पहला बंदा है जिन्होंने ये करा था, मतलब दो कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी से इलेक्शन जीता है। अ, गुजरात और यूपी से लड़ा था, मुझे ये पता है, दोनों जगह वो जीते थे। बट सर का ऐसा कहना है कि पहला कौन था, वो
हाँ,
वैसे
ये
ही।
ट्रेंड किसने चालू किया था? नाजिया तेरा पगार कटा? नहीं बता। उल्टा सोचने को सीखना चाहिए हमेशा।
एक भी ये इनका अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी का भी दिया है। उन्होंने
अटल
लखनऊ और
बिहारी वाजपेयी
गांधीनगर
कहाँ से?
कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी।
लखनऊ और
गांधीनगर, यूपी और
वाजपेयी का
गुजरात जैसे मोदी का है वैसे ही।
दोनों भी जिधर।
कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी था 1996। हाँ दोनों जीते थे उन्होंने, बट उन्होंने रिटर्न इसका किया था, लखनऊ वाला। ऑब्वियस है, लखनऊ जो यूपी से करेगा वही ये होता है, डोमिनेट करता है। तो उन्होंने लखनऊ वाला रखा था, और दूसरा वाला जो था उसका गिव अप कर दिया था। वैसे ही नरेंद्र मोदी का भी था, गुजरात और यूपी का। यूपी का वाराणसी और गुजरात का वडोदरा। और अभी लेटेस्ट अगर एग्जांपल देखा जाए तो राहुल गांधी, रायबरेली और वायनाड।
Which person
वही
should
कहीं पर
first
अमेठी भी दिया है।
first time he conducted two elections in India? Minister of Parliament. कितना थे? वाइस वाइस नोट थे। MP elections in India first time. अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी कहाँ से था?
अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी
लखनऊ तो पक्का है। दूसरा,
लखनऊ और गांधीनगर।
ये ट्रेंड
उन्हीं
किसने
का
चालू
पहला
किया था?
एग्जांपल दिया।
Who started this trend? इंदिरा गांधी भी चिकमंगलूर से जीती थी। इंदिरा गांधी നമ്മുടെ വോയിസ് മെസ്സേജ് അയച്ചാൽ മതി. എവിടെ പോയോ?
सोनिया गांधी का भी एग्जांपल है इसमें, अमेठी और बेल्लारी।
हाँ, सोनिया गांधी का भी शायद अमेठी और बेल्लारी।
हाँ।
Which MP started the trend of getting elected from two different constituencies? Minister of Parliament. ಒಂದೆರಡು type ಇದೆ.
जो ट्रेंड है वो 1951 का जो रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ पीपल एक्ट है वहीं से स्टार्ट हुआ था। बट पहला वाला कौन सा है इसमें उन्होंने दिया नहीं है, 1996 वाला ही दिया डायरेक्ट।
तो सोनिया गांधी से पहले भी कोई लड़ा के दो इलेक्शन? दो
हाँ सोनिया
डिफरेंट
गांधी का जो है
कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी?
वो 1999 का है, और जो अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी का है वो 1996 का है, और वही पहला एग्जांपल उन्होंने दिया है, उससे पहले वाला
नहीं
तो
नहीं, उससे
दिया नहीं है।
पहले इंदिरा गांधी ने भी इमरजेंसी के टाइम बेल्लारी या चिकमंगलूर से इलेक्शन लड़ी थी। दो अलग जगह से इलेक्शन लड़ी थी ना, और शायद जीती थी वो बेल्लारी से।
अभी देखो शेयर हो रहा है क्या? हो रहा है शायद। पोस्ट कोई, सर सोहेल शेख कौन है भाई?
मैम सोहेल सर बोल रहा हूँ। अनिश सर है ना वहाँ पे?
है
हाँ
ना?
है ना, लेक्चर में
बोला।
ही है।
अनिश सर 7:40 के बाद मैं जूम पे ही ले लूँ क्या लेक्चर, क्योंकि यहाँ पे बहुत हैवी बारिश है। मैं ऑनलाइन ले लूँ बच्चों का
हाँ
लेक्चर?
हाँ, ले लो, लेकिन बच्चे ज्वाइन होने चाहिए।
हाँ ठीक है सर, मैं बोलता हूँ ग्रुप पे वो 12th+ के कि सबको ऑनलाइन ही ज्वाइन कर ले।
ओके ओके ओके,
जी सर।
बराबर। अब 7:40 को ज्वाइन करो।
जी।
इसका आंसर देना नाजिया।
हाँ सर, वो नहीं मिल रहा है, वो 1996 वाला ही दिख रहा है।
ईश्वरी उगले गूगल करो, कार्तिक पांचाल, वैष्णव।
पता नहीं क्या है। एंड
मिला क्या नाजिया?
नहीं, नहीं मिल रहा
The
है।
trend of getting elected from two different constituencies was started by Jawaharlal Nehru in the 1952 Indian general elections. Okay.
1950। हाँ।
Nehru contested and won from both the Phulpur constituency in Uttar Pradesh and Allahabad constituency. This practice has been followed by many other Indians. Who are they? फूलपुर और इलाहाबाद से लड़े कौन? नाजिया बच्चा,
हाँ सर,
कौन लड़ा फूलपुर से और इलाहाबाद से?
देख रही हूँ।
पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू, इन्होंने स्टार्ट किया था।
पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू।
हाँ, फूलपुर से अभी कौन जीता है? अभी एमपी कौन है? इलाहाबाद से ये था द ग्रेट अमिताभ बच्चन। अमिताभ बच्चन को राजीव गांधी ने लाया था और एक आदमी था, उसका नाम भूल गया मैं। 6 बार जीता था वो, 6 बार।
सही।
उसको हराने में अमिताभ बच्चन को खड़ा किया ना, तो वो हार गया वो। और वो जो आदमी जो 6 बार जीता वो हार गया, अमिताभ बच्चन जीत गया। बाद में बोफोर्स कंट्रोवर्सी में सब लफड़ा हो गया।
3.9891। 9891।
नेक्स्ट चेक करना नाजिया।
हाँ।
इलाहाबाद कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी से कौन जीता? अमिताभ बच्चन ने किसको हराया?
इलाहाबाद।
1984 में।
बी 19 कौन से साल का देखना है सर?
1984।
1984। अमिताभ बच्चन, इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस।
किसको हराया है? हु डिफीटेड? किसको हराया है उसने? वो
डिफीटेड।
अमिताभ बच्चन। अच्छा लीडर था। हाँ, अमिताभ बच्चन ने बहुगुना को डिफीट किया, बहुगुना। और वो जो बहुगुना थे ना, वो पहले चीफ मिनिस्टर भी थे उत्तर प्रदेश के, उनको हराया।
नेक्स्ट न्यूज में वेलकम सत्याग्रह। वेलकम सत्याग्रह को 100 ईयर्स कंप्लीट हुए। 100 ईयर कंप्लीट कब हुए उसको? 30 मार्च 2024 में। ये स्टार्ट कब हुआ था? ये काफी बड़ा टेन्योर था इस सत्याग्रह का। हाँ, 1924 में स्टार्ट हुआ है ये, और वो खत्म हुआ है 1925 में। मार्च में स्टार्ट हुआ और नवंबर 1925 को वो एंड हुआ है। वैकोम सत्याग्रह का मेन एम क्या था? सत्याग्रह करते क्यों थे? ब्रिटिश के खिलाफ अगर कुछ डिमांड वगैरह करनी है या फिर इंडिया में कुछ इश्यू है तो उसके लिए वो सत्याग्रह करते थे। तो वाइकोम सत्याग्रह में बहुत सारे लोग इन्वॉल्व थे, और इसका मेन एम जो था अनटचेबल्स। अब अनटचेबल्स उस टाइम पे ये वर्ड यूज किया जाता था। अभी क्या उनको एक शेड्यूल कास्ट ऐसे बोलते हैं ना, शेड्यूल कास्ट। तो अनटचेबल्स जो लोग थे उनके साथ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन होता था उस टाइम पर। उनको टेम्पल्स में एंट्री लेना अलाउड नहीं था। टेम्पल्स टेम्पल में एंट्री अलाउड नहीं है। टेम्पल्स के रोड वो यूज नहीं कर सकते थे। उस टाइम पे डिस्क्रिमिनेट किया जाता था उनको। इवन जो वेल है, वेल से पानी लेते ना कुएं से, वो भी उनको लेना अलाउड नहीं था। कॉमन रोड से चलना अलाउड नहीं था। अगर वो चलते भी है तो उनको पीछे से झाड़ू, पता है झाड़ू, नॉट ये टाई करना पड़ता था, ताकि जहां से वो चल रहे हैं पीछे से रास्ता साफ होता जाए। इवन सड़क पर थूकना भी उनको मना था। तो गले में वो पॉट लेकर चलते थे, ताकि अगर उनको थूकना है तो वो पॉट में थूकेंगे। इस टाइप का डिस्क्रिमिनेशन उनके साथ होता था। और अगर उनको हेयर कट वगैरह भी करना है तो उनके लिए अलग सैलून का अरेंजमेंट था, गांव से
और
बाहर।
सबसे ज्यादा डिस्क्रिमिनेशन किधर होता था मान क्या, केरला में? चार जोन तो केरला में कैसा
हाँ,
डिस्क्रिमिनेशन होता
केरला
था
में।
कि वो तो चल भी नहीं सकते थे, उनके शैडो में भी नहीं।
हाँ,
कहाँ लगा था?
तो ये जो वाईकॉम
वो
सत्याग्रह है वो
नंबूदरी
एक्चुअल हुआ है
नंबूदरी पाद
केरला
करके
में।
1956 में एक आदमी था जिन्होंने मार्क्सिज्म लाया, उसने ये सब चेंज किया। ज्याची कसेल त्याची शेती।
इसमें जो लीडर थे इस सत्याग्रह में, वो थे ईवीआर रामास्वामी। ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, यूपीएससी में इन पर क्वेश्चन फिक्स आता है।
तो तू
ईवीआर
यूपीएससी के बुक से ही पढ़ा रही था
रामास्वामी।
नाजिया? नाजिया,
हाँ सर।
मैंने तेरे को जो बुक दिया ना उसी में से पढ़ाने का तेरे को। उसके जो कीवर्ड्स पे बात कर रहा है वो कीवर्ड्स पे ही एनडीए में आएगा। बच्चों लोग सुन के, लोग ऑफिस से बोल रहा है, यूट्यूब पे लाइव है। एनडीए में जो क्वेश्चन आएगा वो सीडीएस, एफकेट और सीएपीएफ के बुक से ही आएगा। और नाजिया मैम के पास जो यूपीएससी का बुक है ना, उसके जो कीवर्ड्स है उसी को पढ़ा रहा है नाजिया।
हाँ, अभी ये जो ईवीआर रामास्वामी है, ये लीडर बने थे वाईकॉम सत्याग्रह के। क्या करना था उनको? जो इनके साथ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हो रहा है उसको खत्म करना। ये उनका मेन एम था। इसका डिस्क्रिमिनेशन इन द सेंस किस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में बोला है? टेम्पल एंट्री के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में बोला है। उनको टेम्पल में आना अलाउड नहीं था। टेम्पल के अराउंड जो रास्ते है वो भी यूज करना अलाउड नहीं था। तो इनको इनवाइट किसने करा था? ईवीआर रामास्वामी। इनको एम के गांधी ने इनवाइट करा था। एम के गांधी और सी राजगोपालाचारी, इन्होंने इनको इनवाइट करा था। इनको एक और नाम क्या है? पेरियार भी बोलते हैं। हाँ, ये उनको दिया गया टाइटल है एक टाइप। पेरियार नाम की रिवर है ना केरला में। हाँ, तो ऐसे ही इनको एक पेरियार नाम का टाइटल दिया हुआ है। एक्चुअल नाम इनका ईवीआर रामास्वामी है। तो वाईकॉम सत्याग्रह से रिलेटेड ये एक लीडर है। और भी बहुत सारे इसमें कांग्रेस लीडर्स इन्वॉल्व थे, जिनका नाम है टी के माधवन, केपी केशव मेनन, के केलप्पन। अभी इसमें एक इम्पोर्टेंट नाम है के केलप्पन, ये भी याद रखो। इनको केरला का गांधी बोला जाता है। हाँ, के केलप्पन, गांधी ऑफ केरला। फ्रंटियर गांधी किसको बोला जाता था? फ्रंटियर गांधी, फ्रंटियर क्यों बोला इसको? नॉर्थ वेस्ट फ्रंटियर सुना है नाम? नॉर्थ वेस्ट, इंडिया का नॉर्थ, उसके वेस्ट में कौन सा रीजन आता है? पाकिस्तान, अफगानिस्तान, वो वाला एरिया रीजन आता है। तो जब इंडिया का जो ऐसा स्टेज था जहाँ पर फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल चल रहा था इंडिपेंडेंस के लिए, तो उस टाइम पर नॉर्थ वेस्ट से जो लीड कर रहे थे उनका नाम था खान अब्दुल गफ्फार खान, जो गांधी जी की तरह नॉन वायलेंट मूवमेंट को उन्होंने लॉन्च करा था। खान अब्दुल गफ्फार खान, इनको बोला जाता है फ्रंटियर गांधी। जैसे गांधी जी का सत्याग्रह, नॉन वायलेंस, ये तरीका था, सेम वैसा ही तरीका इनका भी था। खान अब्दुल गफ्फार खान, इनके बहुत सारे फोटोज भी एक साथ है, गांधी जी के और खान अब्दुल गफ्फार खान के, वो भी गूगल पर देख लो। अभी ये याद रखना, केरला के गांधी किसको बोला जाता है? के केलप्पन। और फ्रंटियर, नॉर्थ ईस्ट फ्रंटियर का फ्रंटियर गांधी किसको बोला जाता है? खान अब्दुल गफ्फार खान। ये दोनों चीजें याद रखो। कौन? खान अब्दुल गफ्फार खान? नहीं, मुस्लिम लीग नहीं, उनका एक अलग से ही ऑर्गेनाइज, मतलब ये ग्रुप था, जिसको वो बोलते थे खुदाई खिदमतगर। ये ऐसे उनका मूवमेंट था, खुदा की खिदमतगर पॉलिटिशियन। मुस्लिम लीग के तो अपने जिन्ना वगैरह वो है, वही फेमस कैरेक्टर है मुस्लिम लीग के। ये न्यूज में था, ठीक है, ये वाईकॉम सत्याग्रह इम्पोर्टेंट है, ये याद है। एम पूछा जाएगा और लीडर कौन थे वो पूछा जाएगा, उसका ईयर भी याद रखना है। अभी दूसरा जो है आपका एक्ट, क्या है इसका फुल फॉर्म? आर्म फोर्सेस स्पेशल पावर एक्ट, कौन से ईयर का है? 1958 का है। ये आप्सपा एक्ट क्या है? ब्रिटिश के टाइम पर जब क्विट इंडिया मूवमेंट चल रहा था, कब था क्विट इंडिया मूवमेंट? 1942 में था। तो उस टाइम पर इंडिया के जो सारे लोग थे, वो क्विट इंडिया मूवमेंट में वायलेंट एक्टिविटीज से लेकर पीसफुल वे से भी अपना प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे थे ब्रिटिश के खिलाफ। क्विट इंडिया मूवमेंट, भारत छोड़ो मूवमेंट, उस टाइम पर ब्रिटिश ने इस टाइप के जो एक्ट है वो उसका यूज करा था। तो आफ्सपा एक्ट जो है अभी रिसेंटली कहाँ कहाँ पर लगा है, एक्सटेंड किया है, मतलब ये नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न वाला जो हमारा पार्ट है वो काफी ज्यादा क्या है, वहां पर एक्टिविटीज होती रहती है, वहां पर बहुत ज्यादा ये है, वायलेंस चलता है। तो वहां पर सिचुएशन गवर्नमेंट के हाथ में जब कंट्रोल नहीं रहता है, मतलब गवर्नमेंट का कुछ नहीं चलता है वहां पर, तो उस टाइम पर वहां पर क्या लाया जाता है, आर्म फोर्सेस का एक्ट लाया जाता है। गवर्नमेंट से अगर सिचुएशन कंट्रोल नहीं हो रही है तो फिर ऐसा कहाँ कहाँ पर है ये आपका एक्ट? 6 महीने के लिए एक्सटेंड करा है। नागालैंड, अरुणाचल प्रदेश, आसाम, मणिपुर, ऐसे रीजन्स में ये एक्ट लागू किया है। और ये कितने महीने तक चलेगा? 6 मंथ तक चलेगा। कब से? अप्रैल मंथ से। अप्रैल से आगे 6 महीने तक ये चलेगा। नागालैंड, मणिपुर, अरुणाचल प्रदेश, आसाम। क्यों होते हैं वहां पर ऐसे डिस्प्यूट्स? वहां पर इतनी एक्टिविटीज क्यों होती है? वहां पर ट्राइबल पॉपुलेशन ज्यादा है, वो काफी ज्यादा बैकवर्ड है। तो वो इनिशियल स्टेज पर ही ऐसा रहता है कि वो गवर्नमेंट के सपोर्ट में नहीं रहता है, गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर उनको ट्रस्ट नहीं है कि गवर्नमेंट हमारे लिए काम करता है। तो ये सारे क्या करते हैं, अपना एक ग्रुप बनाते हैं। ये भी एक रीजन है, गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर उनका ट्रस्ट नहीं है। दूसरा रीजन क्या है कि उनके अंदर ही कॉन्फ्लिक्ट चल रहा है, लैंग्वेज के बेसिस पर या फिर एरिया के बेसिस पर वो अलग स्टेट की डिमांड करते हैं। जैसे आसाम में बोडो कम्युनिटी है, वो भी एक इंडिपेंडेंट स्टेट चाहती है, आसाम से अलग होकर ऐसे। ऐसे बहुत सारे एरियाज है जहाँ पर उनको अलग स्टेट डेवलप करना है। अभी रिसेंटली एक हुआ था मणिपुर में, कुकीज और मैटीज, कुकीज मैटीज, हाँ, एक शेड्यूल ट्राइब का उनको स्टेटस चाहिए था, उसके लिए उनका चल रहा था। तो ये ज्यादा मेजोरिटी में उनको सप्रेस करने के लिए डिमांड कर रहे थे, हमें भी एसटी का स्टेटस चाहिए, शेड्यूल ट्राइब का स्टेटस। जिसको शेड्यूल ट्राइब का स्टेटस मिलता है उसको गवर्नमेंट के थ्रू अलग अलग इनिशिएटिव्स लिए जाते हैं, उनमें प्रोटेक्शन दिया जाता है। तो ऐसा ये वाला इश्यू था। अभी तो ये चल रहा है, पता नहीं वहां पर क्या इश्यू चल रहा है, अभी वायलेंट एक्टिविटीज वहां पर हुई है, बहुत सारे केसेस हुए, इस वजह से ये न्यूज में था, कुकीज एंड मेटीज। तो इसी वजह से वहां पर क्या लगाया जाता है, आपस्पा एक्ट लगाया जाता है। नागालैंड की कैपिटल कोहिमा, अरुणाचल प्रदेश, आसाम की है दिसपुर, हाँ, अरुणाचल प्रदेश ईटानगर, मणिपुर, हाँ, इम्फाल। अभी हमने टाइगर सेंसस पढ़ा, कौन से ऐसे दो स्टेट है जहाँ पर बिल्कुल टाइगर नहीं मिले सर के सेंसस में? टाइगर टाइगर आपने जवाब, नागालैंड में टाइगर नहीं मिला है और मिजोरम में नहीं मिला है। ऐसे दो स्टेट है जहाँ पर टाइगर इस वाले सेंसस में डिटेक्ट नहीं किया। अलग अलग मेथड से वो टाइगर डिटेक्ट करते हैं, उनके फुटप्रिंट्स वगैरह से डिटेक्ट करते हैं। अभी इसके बाद जो नेक्स्ट है 16 फाइनेंस कमीशन, इसके ऊपर पिछले एनडीए में क्वेश्चन आया था, अभी जो लेटेस्ट पेपर हुआ है एनडीए का, 15 फाइनेंस कमीशन के चेयरमैन के बारे में पूछा था। ये न्यूज में चल रहा था, तो जो न्यूज में रहता है उसके ऊपर पढ़ के जाना। इसके चेयरमैन कौन है? अरविंद पांगरिया। ये नीति आयोग के मेंबर रह चुके हैं। तो यही 16 फाइनेंस कमीशन जो है उसके चेयरमैन थे। 16 फाइनेंस कमीशन के चेयरमैन अरविंद पांगरिया। ये फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर है। हाँ, फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर। ये फाइनेंस कमीशन है। फाइनेंस कमीशन एक बॉडी रहती है जो जो रिवेन्यू जितना आता है, टैक्स वगैरह जो आता है गवर्नमेंट के पास, उसको एलोकेट करती है, मतलब डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करती है। स्टेट को इतना इतना देना है, यूनियन टेरिटरीज को, फिर लोकल लेवल पर कितना जाना चाहिए, फंड का सारा रिकमेंडेशन देने का काम ये करती है, कितने स्टेट को कितना फंडिंग होना चाहिए। उनके भी अलग अलग क्राइटेरियाज रहते हैं। फॉरेस्ट एरिया देखा जाता है, पॉपुलेशन कितना है, वो सब कुछ ऐसे 4 से 5 क्राइटेरिया जिसके बेसिस पर वो स्टेट को फंडिंग करते हैं। तो 16 फाइनेंस कमीशन जो है उसके चेयरमैन है अरविंद पांगरिया। इससे पहले वाला जो था 15 फाइनेंस कमीशन, उसके कौन थे? एम के सिन्हा। फर्स्ट फाइनेंस कमीशन के कौन थे? के सी नियोगी। आपको लेटेस्ट वाला भी याद रखना है, इससे 1 साल पहले वाला याद रखना है, और फर्स्ट कौन सा था वो चीज है इसे याद रखना। फर्स्ट ये 15 और ये 16। अभी एग्जाम में क्वेश्चन आया था इससे रिलेटेड। एक और स्टेटमेंट उसमें दिया था कि इससे रिलेटेड आर्टिकल कौन सा है, कौन से आर्टिकल में? हाँ, 280 आर्टिकल। आर्टिकल 280 में फाइनेंस कमीशन से रिलेटेड दिया है। फाइनेंस कमीशन में टोटल मेंबर्स कितने रहते हैं इंक्लूडिंग चेयरमैन? टोटल 5 रहते हैं, जिनको अकाउंटिंग वगैरह का नॉलेज होता है, फाइनेंस का उनको एक्सपीरियंस रहता है। ऐसे 5 मेंबर्स को अपॉइंट किया जाता है फाइनेंस कमीशन के मेंबर के तौर पर। अपॉइंट कौन करता है? प्रेसिडेंट अपॉइंट करता है। यूजुअल टेन्योर कितना रहता है इनका? 5 इयर्स का। अभी ये जो फाइनेंस कमीशन है उसका टेन्योर कहाँ से कहाँ तक चलेगा? 1 अप्रैल 2026 से इसका वर्किंग फंक्शन स्टार्ट होगा। इससे आगे 5 साल तक ये रहेगा। अभी ये न्यूज में वापस क्यों आया है 16 फाइनेंस कमीशन? इसके एक मेंबर थे जिनका नाम था निरंजन राज्याध्यक्ष। इन्होंने रेजिग्नेशन दे दिया और उनकी जगह पर एक नया मेंबर आया। ये जो 5 मेंबर्स है उसमें से निरंजन राज्याध्यक्ष, इन्होंने रेजिग्नेशन दिया और इनको रिप्लेस करके अभी जो मेंबर आया लेटेस्ट उसका नाम है मनोज पांडा। हाँ, मनोज पांडे नहीं, पांडा, मनोज पांडा। तो ये याद रखो। और ये कैसे फुल टाइम मेंबर है? निरंजन राज्याध्यक्ष को रिप्लेस करके अभी मनोज पांडा आएंगे। हम्म। बट उनका फंक्शनिंग अभी से ही चालू है, लोग काम करते हैं, फिर वो रिपोर्ट सबमिट करेंगे, उसके आगे फिर वो 5 साल तक चलता रहेगा। अभी नेक्स्ट, कहीं पर भी अगर कोई कंट्री का प्रेसिडेंट या फिर प्राइम मिनिस्टर अपॉइंट होता है तो उसके ऊपर क्वेश्चन बनते हैं। अभी लेटेस्ट देखते हैं कौन सा है। व्लादिमीर पुतिन कहाँ का है? हाँ, व्लादिमीर पुतिन 5th टाइम वो क्या बने, वहाँ के प्रेसिडेंट बने। तो ये फैक्ट याद रखना है। रशिया में जितने बार इलेक्शन जीत कर आएंगे वैसे। हाँ, हाँ, देखना पड़ेगा कितना टेन्योर रहता है। हाँ, यूजुअली उनका 6 ईयर का होता है। इलेक्शन करवाते हैं, इलेक्शन के बेसिस पर जो जीत कर आएगा वो वहाँ का प्रेसिडेंट। पर इन्होंने दिया है उनका यूजुअल टर्म जो है प्रेसिडेंट का वो 6 ईयर रहता है। तो ये 5th टर्म है, देखो उसका कितना ज्यादा बड़ा टेन्योर है। तो ये याद रखना है 5th है। हाँ, चाइना का
गवर्नमेंट 100 सालों में वही है।
शी जिनपिंग। शी जिनपिंग है ना उधर, तो उसका भी चेक करो एक बार कितने बार वो जीत कर है। अभी लेटेस्ट जो है वो व्लादिमीर पुतिन। रशिया का जो मॉडल वो किस बेसिस पर चलता है? सोशलिज्म। क्या होता है मीनिंग इसका? कम्युनिस्ट है। हाँ, कम्युनिज्म। कम्युनिज्म में ज्यादातर कंट्रोल जो रहता है मार्केट के ऊपर वगैरह, वो गवर्नमेंट का रहता है। हाँ, चाइना में वैसे ही चलता है कम्युनिज्म में। सोशलिज्म में कैसा रहता है? सोशल वेलफेयर के बारे में ज्यादा सोचते हैं। मतलब सारे जो रिसोर्सेस रहते हैं वो गवर्नमेंट के पास रहते हैं मैक्सिमम, और गवर्नमेंट डिसाइड करती है फिर किसको देना और किसको नहीं। गवर्नमेंट वल्नरेबल सेक्शन को डिसाइड करेगी, ये वल्नरेबल सेक्शन है सोसाइटी में, तो उनके लिए कैसे मैक्सिमम उनको ऊपर लाने के लिए। हाँ, वीक सेक्शन, हाँ, जो वीक सेक्शंस रहते हैं उनको ऊपर लाने के लिए गवर्नमेंट अलग अलग इनिशिएटिव्स लेती है। तो सोशलिज्म का मीनिंग ये होता है सोशल वेलफेयर। तो इसमें अलग अलग सेक्टर्स को फोकस करते हैं, जैसे कि हेल्थ हुआ, एजुकेशन हुआ, स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ लाइफ हुआ, या फिर स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ लिविंग बोलते हैं ये सारे चीजों को देखा जाता है, इनको फोकस किया जाता है सोशलिज्म में। और यही सोशलिज्म का जो कंसेप्ट है वो इंडिया में कैसे आया था? जवाहरलाल नेहरू के वजह से। वो ज्यादातर रशिया में टूर करते थे जवाहरलाल नेहरू, तो वहां से उन्होंने सोशलिज्म का कंसेप्ट सीखा था और वो इंडिया में लाया था। हमारे प्रियम्बल में सोशलिज्म ये वर्ड है क्या? है ना, सोशलिस्ट बोला है ना इंडिया को, इंडिया सोशलिस्ट कंट्री। कौन से अमेंडमेंट से सोशलिज्म वर्ड ऐड करा है? 42, और कौन कौन से दो है? इंटीग्रिटी और एक तो है सोशलिस्ट, इंडिया है सोशलिस्ट कंट्री है।
सोहेल सर आ गया
दूसरा
क्या,
है,
नाजिया?
नहीं आया सर अभी तक।
मैं जब
सोहेल
से
किधर है तू?
ऑनलाइन हूँ।
अच्छा,
मैंने मैसेज
सोहेल
भी
सर।
किया है सर।
ऑफलाइन नहीं आए।
हाँ, ऑनलाइन ऑनलाइन ले
ऑनलाइन
लो,
होंगे।
सोहेल सर को लेने दो।
सर,
हाँ, मुझे लगा
सर मैसेज
ऑफलाइन
भी
आने
कर
वाले
दिया
हैं।
सोहेल
मैंने।
सर, बच्चे बढ़ना चाहिए। सोहेल,
सर बच्चे अभी कनेक्ट हुए 3 4 और
आवाज नहीं
9 जन है सर।
आ रहा तेरा। आया
सर है
क्या?
ना सर, है
हाँ।
ना सर।
हाँ, सबको ऑनलाइन ज्वाइन करने लगा।
हाँ हाँ
तो ये
सर,
फोर्टी
नाजिया तू
बोल
सेकेंड
दिया
क्लास,
हूँ मैंने।
नाजिया क्लास में जा, नाजिया।
हाँ सर, यहाँ से एंड करूँ या चालू रहने दो?
एंड नहीं करने का, कंटिन्यू करेगा सोहेल। सोहेल,
यहीं पे रहने दो, कनेक्टेड रहने दो मैडम।
हाँ,
हाँ हाँ ठीक है,
एंड नहीं करना है।
मुझे
दोपहर
लगा
के 2 बजे
ऑफलाइन
तक
आने वाले।
एक ही लिंक है। बारिश में बहुत सारे बच्चे आए नहीं रहेंगे क्लास को, उनको ऑनलाइन ज्वाइन करने को बोलो।
सर इधर इशू है,
हाँ
यहाँ
सर
पर है
मैंने वही।
ना, मेरा वाईफाई चालू है, मतलब मैंने
हाँ,
हॉटस्पॉट शेयर किया था, यहाँ
तू
पर
उधर
किसी
जा
को
ना,
करना
क्लास में
पड़ा।
न्यू में जा, टीचर नहीं है। नाजिया,
हाँ जा रही है सर।
So good morning students. Please unmute yourself and tell me if I am not audible.
Good morning, sir.
We are audible.
Yes.
Morning, sir.
Okay. Okay. If I am not audible, please tell me. Not if I am audible. So I'll share my screen and we will begin with the chemistry lecture. So please see the screen.
Yes, sir.
Can anybody from that tab make me the host of the meeting, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, done, sir.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen. So can you see the screen, oxides of carbon?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Can you see the screen? Yes, please respond. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we are going to start with the oxides of carbon because yesterday we did some, we were actually going to start with some important organic compounds. So first organic compound is methane, also known as marsh gas. It is used in preparation of carbon black. Carbon black is that soot which is created when you burn anything. So the best source of preparation of carbon black is methane. Then organic compounds and as a gaseous fuel. Now, why are they calling it as a gaseous fuel is because biogas. You might have heard of the term biogas. Biogas is made of methane. It is a mixture with air and it's explosive. That is why methane is responsible for explosion in coal mines. Sometimes you might have heard when people go deep into coal mines, there are sudden explosions. Why are there sudden explosions? Because the air contains oxygen and sometimes methane react with the oxygen to release CO2 and H2O. And carbon dioxide, if compressed, now mines under have very little space for gases to come out. So the gases remain intact there. And due to that, the pressure increases and sometimes there is blast in the mines. So the blast in the mines is because of the methane, due to which there is huge explosion. So this is all about methane. But remember, methane is a main component of natural gas, biogas. Biogas contains around 80% methane. Please note down. Last year, they asked about vinegar, but this year they can ask about any other organic compound. So if they ask about methane, they can call about biogas. They can tell about biogas. They can also ask what is the other name for methane. Other name for methane is marsh gas. So this is what we need to do about methane. Now, second is ethylene, or in IUPAC nomenclature, it is called ethene. So it is used in mustard gas. Mustard gas, you might know, it is used in warfare. Mustard gas, what does it do? It causes huge damage to the respiratory system and also to the eyes. So to prepare mustard gas, we require ethene. Ethene is also used as a form of anesthesia. Anesthesia is one of the techniques used to make the patient unconscious. So ethene is used there also. It is used in the production of oxyethene flame for cutting and welding of metals. So you might be knowing welding, the process of welding, where some people wear mask or goggles while cutting the metals, and there is a flame which cuts the metal. So that flame consists of oxygen and ethene. That is why it is called oxyethene flame. And then the last use is artificial ripening of fruits. Now the people who grow fruits in their farms basically use ethene gas. They spray ethene gas on the fruits. Why? Gas is a plant growth regulator, or you can call it as a plant hormone also. So it causes the early ripening of the fruits. Ripening means pakna. So the ripening of fruits is done using ethene. The third gas which is important is acetylene, or in some books it is called ethine because it contains a triple bond. Ethylene contains a double bond. Acetylene contains a triple bond. It is prepared in the laboratory by the reaction of calcium carbide with water. It is used in the preparation of Lewisite. Now, Lewisite gas is the second level of mustard gas. Mustard gas, if the effects of mustard gas are level 1, the effects of Lewisites are level 2. It is more severe than mustard gas. Lewisite is a proper war gas. Then it is also used in the production of light. It is used in making camphor. It is also a form of anesthesia. The same thing, they have similar uses. Now here the name of the flame is oxyacetylene flame. That means there it was oxygen and ethylene. Here it is oxygen and acetylene. And remember, if you want more flame with higher temperature, you will use oxyacetylene flame because temperature is around 3200, 3300 degrees Celsius. Oxyacetylene flame has more temperature than oxyethylene flame. Remember, please remember. So these are the organic compounds we need to do. And the fourth is acetic acid. This question was asked in last year's last year's NDA, that acetic acid, how much percent of acetic acid is there in vinegar? So vinegar contains around 6 to 7% of acetic acid, diluted form of acetic acid. So they can ask from any other organic compound. Last year, if they have asked from acetic acid, please remember. Then, now let us begin with oxides of carbon. First oxide is carbon dioxide, CO2. Carbon dioxide is an oxide of carbon in which the oxidation state of carbon is +4. Carbon dioxide occurs about 0.03 to 0.05% in the atmosphere. So it is one of the major constituent of the atmosphere. First is nitrogen, followed by oxygen. And then the remaining percentage of other gases, carbon dioxide is the most in the other gases. It is a product of combustion of carbon and carbon containing fuels, respiration and fermentation. Why? Because combustion means burning in presence of oxygen. So carbon combines with oxygen and forms carbon dioxide. Then let us see the methods of preparation. The first method is from calcium carbonate. Remember, wherever you see the word carbonate, CO3, always remember the side product will be carbon dioxide. Wherever you see CO3, if it is going into a reaction, the one of the products will be carbon dioxide gas. So here they have reacted calcium carbonate with HCl. Now calcium has changed its partner, and we can see calcium is now forming calcium chloride. Hydrogen has taken the one of the oxygens to form water, and carbon dioxide gas is released. Please take that into account. And this is known as Kipps apparatus. The setup in which this reaction is done is Kipps apparatus. And calcium carbonate is obtained from marbles, pieces of marbles, and HCl is poured onto the marbles, cold and dilute HCl. Now this gas is collected by upward displacement of air. Upward displacement of air. That means air is pushed down and the gas is pushed up. Because CO2 has less density than air, so CO2 will come up. So upward displacement of air. Now you can also use dilute sulfuric acid instead of HCl, but it is not used because calcium sulfate is formed and it is insoluble. Now if you are doing an experiment, there are three things which you need to take care. First thing is the reactants should be such that we can handle it easily. Second, the reaction should be such that it should be done in room temperature. And third, the apparatus should be cleaned easily after the reaction. So in case of sulfuric acid, the apparatus cannot be cleaned. Why? Because calcium sulfate sticks to the apparatus and it is difficult to remove. So that is why we don't use H2SO4. Calcium chloride can be cleaned easily using brushes and all other things, but calcium sulfate cannot be cleaned. And due to which the calcium sulfate creates a coating and it doesn't allow the remaining calcium carbonate to react. This coating is highly unreactive. It makes the compound passive. Passive means it is unable to react. Now, second is carbon dioxide is also prepared by burning carbon or any other hydrocarbon or carbon monoxide in excess of air oxidation. So first is carbon plus oxygen, easy reaction. C plus O2 gives CO2. This is seen in coal and all other basic compounds which contain carbon. Second is methane. Now remember, they are given methane, but you can take any organic compound. The beauty of organic chemistry is you take any organic compound and burn it in presence of oxygen. You will always get carbon dioxide and water. Burn any organic compound. Take carboxylic acid, take alcohol, take anything. And if you're burning them, you will always get carbon dioxide and water as the product. This is a thumb rule. Use any organic compound, heat it in presence of oxygen. Carbon dioxide and water will be the products. Carbon dioxide will be the major product. Then, by oxidation of carbon monoxide plus oxygen gives us carbon dioxide. So that was an easy one. Now here we can see they have heated some carbonates. Third, from carbonates. Calcium carbonate is heated. We get calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Lithium carbonate is also heated to give me lithium oxide and carbon dioxide. Sodium bicarbonate are heated to get sodium carbonate, water and CO2. Remember, these three are the major ones which give carbon dioxide on heating. Calcium carbonate, lithium carbonate and sodium carbonate. Now, carbon dioxide can also be prepared by the action of acids with carbonates and bicarbonates, which we were discussing. If the compound contains carbonate and if it is going into reaction, CO2 will be one of the products. So you can see in these three reactions, acid is reacting with those carbonates to give me water and CO2 as other products. Then from the fermentation of molasses, can you tell me what is molasses? Please, one of you, please unmute yourself and tell me what is molasses. Yes, what is molasses? Yes, anybody? Tell me what are molasses? What is molasses? Students, are you online? Are you able to listen to my voice?
Is a
So tell me what is molasses?
byproduct of sugar.
Byproduct of sugar. That is almost correct. Remember, when we get juice from sugarcane, while putting pressure on sugarcane, the juice is then further filtered and two components are formed. One is sugar juice and one is molasses. Molasses has high content of sugar into it, high content. So this molasses is then further fermented to get the alcoholic beverage which we have heard in breweries. So carbon dioxide is one of the byproducts. Now you can see here C22H12O11. C12H22O11, which is sucrose. Sucrose, the table sugar which we eat. Water is added to it and you get glucose and fructose. Now glucose or fructose, you take any one of them, use the zymase enzyme which is present in yeast. It prepares alcohol and carbon dioxide. You can see that it has prepared alcohol and carbon dioxide. It is also obtained as byproduct in preparation of ethanol by the fermentation of starch. So whenever you do fermentation reaction, you will get carbon dioxide as the side product or the byproduct. Now, what are physical properties? First is it is colorless, odorless gas about 1.5 times heavier than air. It is fairly soluble in water more than carbon monoxide. Carbon dioxide is more soluble in water than carbon monoxide. Aerated water is a solution of carbon dioxide in water under pressure. You might have heard the term soda water. Soda water is basically CO2 inserted into water using high pressure. Yes. Am I audible? Hello. So carbon dioxide can be easily liquefied under a pressure of 50 to 60 atm, atmospheres at room temperature. Solid carbon dioxide is used for refrigeration and is called dry ice. It is not poisonous in nature, and potassium hydroxide absorbs CO2. Am I audible, students? Please, one of you unmute and tell me.
Yes, sir, audible.
Okay. So chemical properties of CO2. First is it is a stable gas and is not decomposed. It doesn't break down. It doesn't break down into carbon and oxygen because it's a very stable gas. Then ordinary carbon dioxide is neither combustible nor the supporter of combustion. However, certain active metals like potassium, magnesium, sodium burn in the atmosphere of CO2. You might have heard CO2 is used for stopping fires. If you see, if you want to blow a candle, you blow air, but that air contains CO2. That is why the candle is that is why the fire on the candle is not there if you blow the candle, because CO2 prevents the burning. Remember. But there are some metals like potassium and magnesium and sodium which forms carbonates where in presence of CO2. That is why they are kept in kerosene. Potassium, sodium, they are kept in kerosene to prevent them or to avoid the exposure of these metals to the atmosphere. Because atmosphere contains oxygen and carbon dioxide, and these elements are highly explosive if they react with oxygen and carbon dioxide. You can see in YouTube how they react if you want to. Then it dissolves in water to form carbonic acid. Carbon dioxide plus water forms carbonic acid, and this is present in beverages. Remember, carbonic acid is a weak acid and forms two series of salts. CO2 is an anhydride of carbonic acid. Anhydride. Can you tell me what is anhydride? Anybody? Can you tell me what is an anhydride? Yes, anhydride. Yes, Bhuvan. What is anhydride? Vaishnav, what is anhydride? Anybody else? What is anhydride?
It's the compound with OH
Compound with
OH group.
anhydride. Hydride means water. Hydros. So anhydride is what? Carbonic acid without water is known as carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is an anhydride of carbonic acid. That means carbonic acid minus water. Carbonic acid minus water is CO2. So that is why it is known as anhydride. Then carbon dioxide turns blue litmus red because it forms acid. We have seen that reaction. H2O plus CO2 gives H2CO3. So obviously it will turn blue litmus red. So that is why we call it an acidic oxide. Then we have heard this since our childhood that CO2 turns lime water milky. What is lime water? Lime water is calcium hydroxide. If you add CO2 to calcium hydroxide, you get calcium carbonate, which gives that milky appearance to the solution. In excess of CO2, the milkiness disappears due to formation of calcium bicarbonate. But if you add more of CO2, then the milkiness will disappear. What are uses of carbon dioxide? First, as fire extinguisher, which I was telling you, blowing the fire. In the preparation of aerated waters like soda water, as a refrigerant under the commercial name dry cold. For artificial respiration, as a mixture of O2 and CO2 is called carbogen. Please remember this word, carbogen. And in creating inert atmosphere free from air. Then let us go to the second oxide, which is carbon monoxide. When CO2 gas is passed through red hot coke, carbon monoxide is obtained. What is coke? Can anybody tell me what is coke? What is the difference between coal and coke? Can you tell me? Which is pure, more pure? Purity किसका ज्यादा है? कोक का है क्या कोल का है? Please tell me. Somebody.
Sir, Coke is more pure.
Yes. Why? Because coal is purified. Coal contains around 80 to 90% carbon, but coke contains 97 to 99% of carbon. So coke is the purest form of carbon which we can use for reactions, chemical reactions. So red hot coke means it is heated to a high extent to get that red color. And if you pass carbon dioxide through that coke, red hot coke, you will get carbon monoxide gas. Carbon monoxide is extremely poisonous because it combines with hemoglobin to form a stable salt carboxyhemoglobin, and result of this is suffocation known as asphyxia. We have seen this in blood circulatory system, and we know hemoglobin loves carbon monoxide more than oxygen. If hemoglobin gets choice to choose between oxygen and carbon monoxide, it will always choose carbon monoxide because it forms a stable compound known as carboxyhemoglobin. Low level poisoning results in headache and drowsiness, whereas high level poisoning may cause death. Now, if carbon monoxide level, which we are absorbing or which we are inhaling, is less, it will only cause headache. But if there is continuous supply of carbon monoxide throughout the period of breathing, then it can cause death. It is neutral to litmus, neither acidic nor basic. It reduces metal oxide to metal. It's a good reducing agent, and it is used in manufacture of methanol, formic acid, and phosgene gas. It is used in preparation of nickel by Mond's process and in preparation of metal carbonyls. Now here the most important use. There are two more important uses. One is for preparation of phosgene gas. Now phosgene is one of the anesthetic gases used, which was used in earlier times, but now it is not used because phosgene is highly poisonous. So it was used. Carbon monoxide was used to prepare phosgene gas. Then it is used for purification of nickel. Now nickel is extracted from the ground, then different metallurgy processes are done on nickel. But to purify nickel, we require carbon monoxide. And the process name is Mond's process. And the last is preparation of metal carbonyls. This is basically coordination compounds which we had in our 12th standard. So metal carbonyls are one of the coordination compounds. There also carbon monoxide is required. So here were the compounds of carbon, which were carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. We will begin with oxygen and try to finish as much as we can for today. Now, oxygen belongs to group 6A. Last lecture I told you what does A mean. A means a normal element. A means a normal element. And B means transition element. Please remember, in the old classification, A meant the meaning of A, Roman numeral followed by A meant a normal element present on the left and right corner of the periodic table. But if there was a Roman numeral and B, that meant it was in the transition elements, which is at the center of the periodic table. Please remember. Then we know the atomic number of oxygen is 8. Electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. So in air, it occurs at free state and constitutes about 21% by volume of air. We know nitrogen is 78% and oxygen is 21%. In combined state, it constitutes about 88.8% by mass of water and 46.5% by mass of Earth's crust. That means water contains about 88.8% oxygen. You can do it percentage 16 by 18. So it will come around 88.88%. And total Earth's crust, that means the total solid materials present on Earth, about 46.5% of those compounds contain oxygen. Almost all the dioxygen in the atmosphere is believed to be due to the photosynthesis taking place in green plants in presence of sunlight. We know what happens. Water and carbon dioxide is utilized by the plant in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight to give me to give me oxygen and carbohydrate, which is glucose. So it is said that all the oxygen which is present in atmosphere is because of plants. Then it is an essential constituent of all the acids. Not all the acids, all the oxy acids. Please remember, HCl is not an oxygen containing acid. So please do the correction in your Pathfinder. It is an essential constituent of all oxy acids. Not all acids. It is all oxy acids. Now, first is method of preparation. The first method is decomposition of oxygen-rich compounds. Decomposition means heating. So if you heat the compounds, you will get oxygen. You can see here, potassium chlorate, KClO3, was heated. Catalyst was manganese dioxide, and it was done, strong heating was done to get me potassium chloride and oxygen gas. Same thing you can see with nitrate, potassium nitrate. You got oxygen gas, and same thing goes with mercury oxide. Mercury oxide gave me oxygen gas along with mercury. The methods carry no importance in your exam. Please remember. Here you can see oxides are heated. Silver oxide is heated. Lead oxide is heated. Barium oxide is heated to give me oxygen, and the respective silver gives metal and other gives oxide. Then by the action of water on sodium peroxide Na2O2 plus water
सोहेल
gives me.
सर आदिशंकर
जी,
को पूछो ना, उसका दूसरा दोस्त आया नहीं. आदिशंकर मध्य అంటే ఫ్రెండ్ ఎవడే శివ మేముడు బరా కేరళ గుట్టలో జాయిన్ కియా
Adishankar,
Yes,
where is
sir.
your friend? Where is your friend?
अंशुल कार्तिक
Sir,
Ketan.
my friend is in here, my room.
ask him to join the lecture.
Yes.
Adishankar,
Yes, sir.
have you joined the lecture?
Ayan is joining in the meeting. This
Uh,
this
Ayan.
meeting, sir.
Where are you?
Ayan, please respond.
Hello, sir.
lecture
Micro on
ले.
account.
हैं?
Hello. Hello.
lecture ले.
Under.
Okay. So the people who have not joined, please inform them. If anybody is left to join, please inform them. Now here you can see sodium
Sohail sir, तुम
peroxide.
live है? Sohail.
Yes, sir. Sodium peroxide is then reacted with water to give me sodium hydroxide plus oxygen gas. Now here, the best method is method number 4, decomposition of peroxide or hypochlorite. Now you can see peroxide, H2O2. And here you're getting H2O plus O2. This is the best method because peroxide, hydrogen peroxide is easy to handle. Hydrogen peroxide is easy to handle. That is why it is one of the best methods. And bleaching powder, the second method is also best. So why am I calling them the best methods? Because they are easy to handle. The product can easily be collected and the other product which is formed can be easily separated. So that is why they are the best methods. If I want to talk about bleaching powder, please remember during lockdown, we all had to be wearing protective masks. We all had to always do sanitation and all other things. So the doctors recommended use of bleaching powder in each and every household. So bleaching powder is basically when you combine bleaching powder with water, you get a solution which is a disinfectant and it kills all the microorganisms around the surface. So bleaching powder was mixed with water and it was used for washing. It was used for washing all the rooms and all the toilets and bathrooms during lockdown for cleanliness, for sanitation. Who's the one who is unmuted? Please mute yourself. Mute yourself. Then you can see manganese oxide is reacting with sulfuric acid to give me oxygen. These methods are not important. Please remember. H2O2, the fourth method is very important. And the industrial method is very important. Industrial method is by fractional distillation of air. Now, fractional distillation means separation of gases due to their boiling points, different boiling points. So if you are taking air and if you are doing the fractional distillation, oxygen separates at 90 Kelvin and nitrogen separates at 78 Kelvin. So 90 Kelvin is a very low temperature, minus 183 degrees Celsius. And this nitrogen is at minus 171 degrees Celsius. Getting it? So this is a very low temperature, very low. So, but oxygen has a higher temperature as compared to nitrogen. So oxygen gas is separated first and we collect oxygen gas. We don't go up to that temperature. We don't go up to nitrogen ka temperature. We only go up to oxygen temperature. If you want to understand fractional distillation, please remember the separation of petrol, diesel, kerosene using crude oil. We used to boil the crude oil, and at different temperature, different products were separating, and the products were collected using pipes. If you guys remember the lectures, so that is how it oxygen can also be prepared, fractional distillation of air. Second is from water, electrolysis of water. Pass electric current through water, you will get oxygen and hydrogen. Now, physical properties, water's physical properties. It is colorless, tasteless, odorless gas. No color, no taste, no smell. It is slightly soluble in water and can be liquefied to a pale blue liquid and can be solidified to bluish white solid at minus 291 degrees under pressure. So if you liquefy, it gives a pale blue, lightish blue color. And if you solidify, it gives a bluish white crystal. Melting point is 54.4 Kelvin. Very low. It's 54.4 means it's around 219, minus 219 degrees Celsius. And boiling point is 90.2. It is minus 183 boiling point. Now oxygen has three isotopes, O16, O17 and O18. O16 is present in the ratio 1000:1:8. O16 is the most common, O17 is the rarest, and O18 is also present but not that much. O18 is radioactive. O18 is radioactive. Then it is slightly heavier than air and sparingly soluble in water. That sparingly solubility is responsible for all the aquatic life. Because aquatic life, the fishes and all, they get their oxygen from the bubbles present in the water. So that sparingly soluble nature of oxygen is responsible for the aquatic life. Then oxygen is absorbed by alkaline pyrogalol solution which turns brown. Pyrogalol is what? It is benzene ring attached to 3 OH, 3 hydroxide groups. So this compound absorbs oxygen and turns brownish. Then oxygen does not burn itself, but it is a supporter of combustion. If you increase oxygen level, combustion will increase. Oxygen has 2 unpaired electrons in the p orbital, so it is paramagnetic in nature. P4, P has a capacity of 6 electrons p orbital, but in electronic configuration of oxygen, we can see it has only 4 electrons. That means 2 electrons are less. So due to which there are 2 unpaired electrons. And remember, there is a thumb rule. Unpaired elements which have unpaired electrons are paramagnetic in nature. UP, unpaired, paramagnetic. UP. And the compounds which are paired are generally diamagnetic. PD. The compounds, the elements which have paired electrons are diamagnetic in nature. Diamagnetic, yesterday we did in our physics lecture. They repel the magnetic field in opposite direction. Paramagnetic are what? They are attracted towards the magnetic field to a weaker extent. Weakly attracted. So please remember, oxygen is paramagnetic. That means oxygen is magnetic in nature, but weakly, not strongly. Iron is very strong. So that is it for today's chemistry lecture. Now physics lectures time has started. So let us begin with the physics lecture. 3 pages are left and we will be done with the chapter. So yesterday we were doing about electromagnetic induction. So today we shall continue electromagnetic induction. Yes, here. Yesterday I started electromagnetic induction, but today I will revise it once again. Whenever the magnetic flux linked with the closed circuit changes, an induced EMF is produced in the circuit due to this current. Due to this, current is induced in the circuit. The EMF lasts only as long as the change in flux lasts. This phenomena is called electromagnetic induction. That means if you're bringing a conductor near a non-conductor or the one which is not connected to any source of current, the movement of the conductor or the magnet will cause the change in magnetic flux in the other coil. We were talking how Bhuvan's marks were inducing the other students to work hard. So one coil disturbs another coil. That disturbance creates an EMF, and that EMF creates a current. Now, this disturbance should be by continuous movement. That means you should move the magnet continuously, or you should move the conductor continuously. Because if you stop the conductor, if the conductor is stopped near the coil, there will be no EMF produced. In order to produce EMF, you need to move the conductor continuously. Remember. And then Faraday gave two laws, Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, which we were discussing yesterday. First law is whenever the magnetic flux linked with the coil changes, an induced EMF is produced in the circuit. So whenever the flux in the coil changes, how does the flux change? By moving the coil near the magnet or near the conductor. Why? If you move it near the magnet, the flux increases, number of lines increases. If you take it away, number of lines decreases. So if you're changing the flux, that means you're changing the EMF. From here, we got two conclusions or two formulas. One formula for induced current and one formula for induced EMF, induced charge. So we know induced EMF is minus N d phi by dt. Now what is current? I is equal to V by R. So if we divide the EMF by resistance, you get N by R d phi by dt. And if you want charge is current into time. So Q is equal to N by R d phi because dt got cancelled. Now, when Faraday was giving the laws, Mr. Lenz studied about induced EMF and he said when the coil is coming near a magnet, the north pole of the magnet, if it is near the coil behaves as another magnet and the end which is near the north pole becomes the north pole of the coil. That means the incoming magnet has north pole towards coil. The coil will also form a magnet and the north pole of the coil will be facing the north pole of the magnet. And if you take the magnet away, the polarity in the coil will reverse. That means the end which was north will now become south. And the end which was south will become north. So if you take the magnet away, the north pole of the coil becomes south pole. And if you bring it towards the coil, it becomes the north pole again. This is what Mr. Lenz observed. Please take that into consideration. Now, there are three formulas for EMF. One is BVL. B is magnetic field, V is velocity, and L is the length of the conductor. Then, if there is an angle theta, it is BVL sine theta. If velocity is making an angle with the magnetic field. Then, if there is a rod and it is rotating about an end, the formula is B omega L square by 2, where omega is angular velocity. Then, what are types of induction? We were going to discuss about inductor today. First type of induction is self-induction. When the current flowing through the coil changes, the induced current produced in the same coil is called self-induction. Induced current formed in the coil is called it is called self-induction. Now let us see what does that mean. Coefficient of self-induction L is equal to N phi by I. N is the number of turns, phi is the magnetic flux, I is the current. Now I know phi by I can also be written as minus E di by dt. E is the EMF and di by dt is the rate of change of current. And for solenoid, it is mu naught N square A by L. And remember, the symbol is like a spring. Yesterday I was telling you, the device is called an inductor. It has a spring-like symbol. And the SI unit is Henry. What do we call it? We call the unit Henry. So, I don't like the second equation. Please, if you have your notebook, please take this into consideration. That L is equal to minus E upon delta I by d delta t is not the actual formula. The actual formula should be the EMF E is directly proportional to change in current. The EMF E is inversely proportional to the time. So that is why EMF is proportional to delta I by delta t. Now, if you want to remove the proportionality sign, you have to put a constant, and that constant is L. Please remember, that constant is L. And you get L di by dt, delta I by delta t is equal to EMF. And why is the negative sign? Because the induced current always changes or decreases. That is why. Minus L di by dt is EMF. That is what Mr. Faraday concluded. And from there, they modified the formula which is given in your Pathfinder. The second formula is not the one which was given originally. The original formula is take that delta I by delta t there near L and put EMF is equal to minus L di by dt. Please remember. Then second is mutual induction. When two coils are placed near to each other, and if there is a change in current in one coil, then EMF is induced in another coil. Mutual induction, coil with coil. First one was coil with magnet. Now what will be the symbol coefficient ka? N2 phi 2 upon I1. Why I1? Because current in the first coil caused that induction. Or we can call M is equal to minus E2 upon delta I1 upon delta T. Not that important. Actually important is only self-induction in your case. Mutual induction, just remember how mutual induction occur. What happens? One coil is changing its current. Now it is in contact with another coil, and due to the change in current in the first coil, the second coil also experiences an induced EMF. So coil and coil for mutual. Mutual means one with another. Similar people together. So that is what you need. Now, coefficient of coupling of two circuits. Coupling, combination, just like series and parallel. Please remember. Now, let us consider a case where the total flux associated with one coil links with another. That means a case of maximum flux linkage. Now, how self-induction and mutual induction are related? Now, if I'm talking about mutual induction from 1 to 2, M12, it will be number of turns in 2, flux of 2 upon current in 1. And if I'm talking about mutual induction in 2 due to 1, M21, it will be number of turns of 1 into flux of 1 divided by current of 2. Same thing we can write for self-induction. L1 is N1 B1 upon I1. L2 is N2 B2 upon phi B2 upon I2. So if the flux of 2 are equal, then flux of B2 will be equal to flux of B1. M21 is equal to M12, which is equal to M. So M square will be equal to N1, N2, Phi1, Phi2 upon I1, I2, which is L1, L2. So remember, maximum mutual induction is what? Square root of self-induction of 2. In similar terms, if I want to talk about induction, if there are two coils in which the magnetic flux is equal, that means magnetic lines of force are going equal in both the coils. So the total mutual induction will be the product of self-inductions of them. Square root of the product of self-induction. Now here, this is maximum possible value of M. So what is K? K is a fraction from which there can be a difference. K is a number depending on geometry of the coils. No need to understand. Now parallel and series combination, same like a resistor. If you want to calculate equivalent inductance, it will be just the addition in series, and in parallel it will be 1 by L1, 1 by L2, 1 by L3, etc. Getting it? Then MRI. Do you know MRI? It is used in hospitals. Magnetic resonance image. It is a process due to the presence of hydrogen atoms in the tissues. The nucleus of the hydrogen atom produces magnetic resonance. It is known as nuclear magnetic resonance. This resonance is absorbed by a special coil and sent it to the computer. This technique is used to analyze various activities of the brain. Hydrogen atoms are present in the tissues. Now, if you are putting a body in a magnetic field, remember, in MRI, the body is, we are put inside a machine, a large machine. Actually, that machine creates a magnetic field. So if you're creating magnetic field, hydrogen atom is a very small atom and its nucleus is very, it is stable, but it responds to the change in magnetic field. And when it responds, it releases certain magnetic radiations. And that is known as nuclear magnetic resonance. Resonance means it matches the magnetic field frequency. So once the magnetic field frequency is matched, then that radiation will be released, and then it is taken by a special coil, and that special coil gives the reading to the computer, and that computer then shows us different images, MRI images. That is how it is worked. Now transformer is a device which is used to either increase the voltage or decrease the voltage. Can you tell me what is the power supply of your household? Household power supply. Anybody tell me how many volts come to our household?
220 volt.
230 volts. Very nice. 220 to 230 volts. Do you know, have you seen a red colored box near your house or in your society or in your colony? There's a big red colored box with a danger sign, a skull with a danger. Have you seen that anywhere?
Yes, sir.
That particular box is basically a transformer. Now, what is a transformer? When the power station supplies the power to our houses, it first supplies it to the transformer, and it carries power at high voltage. The voltage is around 10,000 to 50,000 volts. If you see, it is written danger, 10,000, 25,000 or 50,000 volts. Do not touch. They write it like that. Why is that? Because power has to be supplied at a higher voltage. So the power stations supply the power at around 10 to 50,000 volts. Then it reaches a transformer. Now we can't directly take 10 to 50,000 volts. Our house will be blasted. The appliance will explode if they take such high voltage. So what does a transformer do? It takes that voltage, it lowers the voltage. It lowers the voltage and brings it down to 230 volts. and then it is supplied to our house. That red box is that important. Remember, red box lowers the voltage, or in technical terms, it is called stepping down. So what does a step down transformer do? Step down transformer lowers the voltage. Now, imagine Samir has a factory. Samir has a factory, and factory has heavy machines. Heavy machines require high voltage. Now the power station is supplying a voltage of around 50,000 volts. But the heavy machines which Mr. Samir has requires around 100,000 volts. That means 1 lakh volt. So that much voltage is not sufficient. The one which is being sent by the power station. So what does Samir do? He does some smart work. He inserts a step up transformer. Step up transformer. What does a step up transformer do? It increases the voltage. And once the voltage is increased, now the heavy machines can work at high voltage. So transformers are of two types. One is step down transformer and one is step up transformer. One lowers the voltage, another increases the voltage. Now let us see a step up transformer. A step up transformer steps the primary voltage up to a higher value. Primary voltage is the one which is coming from the source. So it increases. If the number of turns in the secondary coil is more than the number of turns of primary coil, then it is called step up transformer. Primary coil is the one which receives voltage. Secondary coil is the one which will take the voltage. So in order to increase the voltage, the second coil should have more turns. More turns means more winding of wires. It should have more winding of wires. Then, what is a step down transformer? It steps down the primary voltage to a lower value. That means in the number of coils in the number of turns in the secondary coil should be less. Number of turns in the secondary coil should be less than the primary coil. Now see here. Current in the secondary upon current in the primary is equal to voltage in the primary divided by voltage in the secondary, which is equal to number of turns in the primary divided by number of turns in the secondary. This remains a constant value. So if you want to calculate, it is easy. Then now the last part is alternating current. Can you tell me what is an alternating current? Yes, anybody? Please tell me what is an alternating current? Alternating current. Yes. Anybody? Yes. Vaishnav, Bhuvan, anybody? What is alternating current?
So which changes its direction continuously, so.
Which changes its direction and magnitude. Now, there are two types of current. One is direct current and one is alternating current. Our appliances use direct current. Remember, our appliances use direct current. But direct current cannot be supplied using wires because it will cause the heating of the wires. So, alternating current is used for power supply. Alternating current is used for supplying current using wires because it is easy to transport, because it is like a wave. Waves are easy to transport, or waves can move faster, easier, and at a convenient rate. So that is why alternating current are the ones which are used by wires. And then when it reaches our house, every electrical appliances has a special device known as rectifier. What is it called? A rectifier. A rectifier converts that alternating current into direct current. And then our appliances work. For example, we have a charging adapter which we connect to the socket for mobile charging. So what actually happens is the power supply comes in the form of AC. The charging adapter is basically working as a rectifier. It converts the alternating current into direct current. And then that direct current goes into our cell phone for charging. Getting it? What is alternating current? Yes? Getting
sir.
it? Okay. Alternating current is a sine wave. I is equal to I naught sine omega t. Sine wave, we know it starts from 0 and it forms a complete wave. So alternating current are sine waves. I naught is the peak value and omega is the angular frequency. Now peak value is changing all the time in a wave. We know the values of y-axis change every time in a wave. So that is why it is a function of the maximum current. I naught sine function of maximum current. And omega is angular frequency. Now, since it is a wave, it will have a frequency. Please write down. Alternating current has a fixed frequency of 50 hertz. What is the frequency of alternating current? 50 hertz, fixed frequency. Then, if you're talking about alternating current, we have to talk about alternating voltage. Now here, the best part of alternating voltage is when you connect a battery, one end is positive, one end is negative. So we know one will be at higher potential, one will be at lower potential. Am I correct? Yes, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So alternating voltage is different. What happens if you're connecting one end, one positive end of the alternating source to wire and another end, negative end connected to the other end of the wire? We used to think one will be positive, that means higher potential, and one will be negative, lower potential. That is what we thought up to now. But what happens in AC is the polarity changes all the time. That means the end which is positive for this instant will now be negative for another instant. Then again it will be positive, again negative, again positive, again negative. So it will be continuously changing its nature. Getting it? So there is no fixed a positive end, there is no fixed negative end for alternating currents or alternating voltage. Getting it?
Yes, sir.
Remember, alternating voltage do not have a fixed polarity. So what will be the formula? V is equal to V naught sine omega t. V naught will be the peak voltage and sine wave it is. That is why. Now what is mean value? Mean value is the value for half cycle of AC. Half cycle of AC. Remember, mean value is 0.637 I naught. Complete cycle it is 0. Why? Sin 360 is 0. Yes, students. Sin 360 is 0.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Then RMS value, root mean square value of AC. For a complete cycle of AC, the RMS value of current is called root mean square. Now, root mean square is what? 0.707 I naught or I naught by root 2. Mean value and root mean square is different. Please remember. Root mean square means it is the value of the current for one complete cycle. Mean value is 0. Root mean square is I naught by root 2. Now here they have given distribution of electricity for domestic purposes 220 volts and 50 hertz. Remember, what will be power in AC? Power is VI. We have studied it in current electricity. So here it will be VRMS, IRMS. Yes. Now if the circuit has inductor and resistor, power will be VRMS, IRMS cos phi. Now what is phi? Phi is the angle between the resistor and the inductor. Now because resistor has a different potential, inductor has a different potential. So they will be at different vectors. So we have to create an angle between them, and that is used, and the trigonometrical identity cos phi is used. If the circuit has only inductor or capacitor, power is zero. Resistor is the one which generates power. Remember, inductor cannot generate power, capacitor cannot generate power the way resistor does. Now, what is a choke coil? It is used to control AC circuit. In choke coil, power loss is negligible. Choke coils are expensive. Remember, one which has great use is highly expensive. So choke coil is what? It is a device used to control AC circuit, and power loss is negligible. So now we are done with the chapter. My request to you guys is, please go through the chapter for once, and in few minutes we will start with biology. Please go through the chapter. Please go through the chapter. We will begin we'll begin with biology lecture at 9 o'clock. Uh, if anybody is there at the studio, please see to it that the tab is not switched off, because once the biology session is over, you have to make the one the tab, the person on the tab as the host. So at 9:40, please, any one of the students, please become the host, and then continue the meeting for the math session. Because now, right now, I am the host. If I end the meeting, the entire meeting will be shut down. So once my session is over, please make somebody else as the host, so that the meeting is not disturbed. So students, let us begin with the biology lecture. Yes, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us begin with the biology lecture. Let me share my screen. Screen share, screen share. Yeah. So yesterday we did the viral diseases. Today we are going to start with helminthic diseases. The diseases which are caused by worms. The disease caused by worms. Now first disease is ascariasis. It is caused by Ascarias lumbricoides. It's a roundworm. It is a roundworm. It spreads through raw vegetables, dirty hands, and ingestion of contaminated soil. Now, raw vegetables, you might have heard from doctors that if you are cooking food, you should cook it by first boiling it. Why? Because these worms have their eggs inside the vegetables. So if you don't cook it properly, if you don't boil it properly, the eggs will go into your body and then they will manifest in your body. And by manifestation, they will form small worms in the body. Now, what are the symptoms? Nausea, cough, severe abdominal pain, intestinal destruction may also occur. Once these worms are formed, these can even put holes in the intestine. That kind of destruction they're talking. Now, what are preventive measures? Sanitation and use of anti-helminthic drugs. Means medicines which are preventing the growth of helminths. Now, second disease is teniasis. It is caused by Taenia solium. It spreads through improperly cooked food and through raw vegetables which are not properly washed. Similar to ascariasis, the symptoms are chronic indigestion, not able to digest, anorexia, similar symptoms of epilepsy. Now, what is epilepsy? Can anybody tell me what is epilepsy? Yes, epilepsy. What is epilepsy? Okay, no problem. Epilepsy is a problem. It is a what do we call it? Syndrome, which is basically affecting the brain, which causes some leisures or shocks. Sometimes the epileptic patient behaves very unusual. So that kind of damage also this disease can cause. Now, how it is treated? Sanitation, cleanliness, and use of properly cooked food and anti-helminthic drugs. Third is filariasis caused by Wuchereria bancrofti, transmitted by Culex mosquito. Fever, legs may become swollen and resemble with those of elephant. This disease is also called elephantiasis. I think Bhuvan was asking yesterday. Elephantiasis. So elephantiasis is caused by worm, and that worm's name is Wuchereria bancrofti. The preventive measures include destruction of mosquitoes, use of mosquito repellent creams, mats, and anti-helminthic drugs. Now, what are protozoan diseases? The diseases which are caused by protozoa. Protozoa are also type of microorganisms. First is a famous disease known as malaria, caused by different species of plasmodium. Remember, malaria is caused by different species of plasmodium. It affects several body parts like liver. First, it attacks the liver because liver is a source of food. Once it gets the food, multiplication is done. Then it attacks RBCs, spleen, and brain. RBC contain oxygen. Spleen contains all the other materials required for growth, and at the end, it destroys the brain. But it does not affect the kidney. It shows multiplication in liver. Now, Plasmodium has two hosts. Plasmodium actually has two hosts. The mosquito is one of the hosts. Female Anopheles mosquito, primary host present in the Plasmodium is present in the saliva of the mosquito. And the secondary host is human beings, where they multiply, they form different eggs. They form eggs there, and then mosquito again comes and sucks the blood and takes the eggs away. Now let us see a species of Plasmodium. First is Plasmodium vivax, causes benign tertian malaria, most common in India. Most common malaria in India is caused by Plasmodium vivax. Then second is Plasmodium falciparum, cerebral malaria, common in certain parts of India. Cerebral malaria attacks the cerebrum of the brain. Third is Plasmodium ovale, rarest species which infects man. Then Plasmodium malariae, common in tropical Africa, Burma, Sri Lanka, and parts of India. Now, what are the preventive measures? Use of mosquito repellent creams, mosquito nets and mats, use of chloroquinone, primaquinone tablets, and prevent malaria. Most efficient medicine for malaria is quinine, obtained from cinchona tree. Now, what is amoebiasis? Amoebiasis or amoebic dysentery, caused by entamoeba histolytica. It is a parasite. Amoeba is a organism which has no particular shape. So it is caused by amoeba, entamoeba histolytica. It lives in the large intestine of humans. And when does infection occur? Infection occurs by ingesting cyst with food and water. So if you're consuming food which contains this amoeba, then that amoeba won't be affected by the hydrochloric acid in the stomach, and then it settles in the intestine where it multiplies and forms its colonies. Now, what are the symptoms? Mild diarrhea, presence of mucus and blood in stool, and abdominal pain. What are the preventive measures? Proper sanitation and personal hygiene is useful for protection and anti-amoebic drugs. Now, next is leishmaniasis, known as Kala Azar. It is caused by Leishmania donovani, multiplies by multiple fission. One single body breaks into multiple fragments, and each fragment forms a new organism. Multiple fission, very fast growth. It is spread by sandfly bite. Symptoms often resemble malaria with irregular fever and leukopenia. Leukopenia is lowering of white blood cells with enlargement of spleen and liver. African sleeping sickness, trypanosomiasis. Sleeping sickness caused by Trypanosoma gambiense. The parasite is transmitted by blood-sucking sessefly. Parasite lives in blood plasma, fever with glandular swelling, and in acute condition, parasite enters into CSF and damages the brain. It makes the patient lethargic and unconscious. Lethargic is a person who is unwilling to do any work, and unconscious. Prevention is done by eradicating from flies and shrubs. This disease is more common in Africa. Now, remember, only two diseases are important here. One is malaria and one is African sleeping sickness. Ringworm, the most common disease of fungus is ringworm. How many of you have seen the ad of Edgeguard? एजगार्ड का ऐड देखा है आपने? एजगार्ड, यस, इचगार्ड. See, there's an ad where people are scratching their elbows, their necks. Itchguard. You might have seen the ad on the television. Please respond. Vaishnav,
Yes, sir.
you have seen that ad, Itchguard.
Yes, sir.
So that is caused by this fungus, ringworm. The disease is called ringworm, and the fungus name is Microsporum. It spreads by unbat cat, dogs, or infected person. If you do not, if you have a domestic cat or dog, if they are not clean, if you do not take them to bath, it can pass. That disease can pass from them to us. Even if the person is not has not bathed for a longer time, then it can cause the disease. In this disease, sores are formed which become reddish and obtain blisters. Now, blisters are in the form of a ring. That is why they call it ringworm. Treated by proper sanitation and hygiene, some other fungal diseases with their causative agents are aspergillosis, meningitis, dermatitis of beard and hair, and athlete's foot. You might have seen dandruff. Dandruff is also fungal disease. Dermatitis is dandruff. Dermatitis is dandruff. So here we are done. Now the most important part of the chapter is starting, which is non-communicable diseases. The one which cannot be passed from one to another just by touching or communicating. So let us see. The first one is diabetes. Everybody following?
Yes.
Okay. So diabetes is a long-term condition caused by too much of glucose in the blood sugar in the blood. Now there are two types. One is type 1 and one is type 2. Type 1 diabetes occurs when body does not produce enough insulin to function properly, or the body cells do not react to insulin. This is known as insulin resistance. So there might be two conditions. One is blood sugar level is high, but the one which is controlling the blood sugar level, insulin hormone, is low. So that is why blood sugar level becomes high and we get diabetes. Or second thing is body is producing insulin, but insulin is not being responded properly. Insulin resistance. So that comes in type 1. Type 2 is far more common than type 1 diabetes, which occurs when body does not produce any insulin at all. Body doesn't produce insulin at all. So we have to take insulin externally via injections. So type 2 diabetes usually affects people over the age of 40. Type 2 is one of the major diseases in India right now. What are symptoms? Feeling very thirsty, urination frequently, particularly at night, feeling very tired, weight loss, and loss of muscle bulk. These are certain symptoms of diabetes. Then let us go to cancer. Second disease, cancer. What do you think? Is cancer a disease? Yes. Is cancer a disease? Please reply. Yes, anybody? Is cancer a disease? Cancer is actually not a disease. It's a condition which is developed in our body. It's a condition which is developed in a human body. Remember, if a person is injured, I always give the example of injury. If the person is injured, new cells are formed, and the cells which were present earlier on the site of injury are replaced by new cells, and the injury is healed. Am I correct? Injury is healed by replacing new cells. Yes. So how does the body know? For example, I have a small cut on my finger and my body wants to heal the injury. So how will my body know that it requires only a few cells for replacing? For example, that the cells which were damaged due to injury are 1000 cells. So how does the body know that it has to produce only 1000 cells? Do you have any idea? How does the body know that it has to produce only 1000 cells to replace the the ones which were injured. If you don't have any idea, please tell, sir, we are unaware or we don't know. Okay, so the thing is, once the cell division starts at the site of injury, new cells will be produced continuously. Once the number of cells which are required for the replacement are produced, there is a phenomena called contact inhibition. What is the phenomena? Contact inhibition. That means once the required number is matched, no extra cell will be produced, because now once the cell comes in contact with another cell, it will stop the growth. Contact inhibition. Cells come in contact with each other and stop the growth. That is the beauty of the human body. How does it come to know that the requirement is filled? Once the number of cells are achieved, the cells activate their inhibition mode, which is known as contact inhibition. What it is known, please anybody unmute and tell me what is the phenomena called?
Contact inhibition.
Contact inhibition. Now, the person who's suffering from cancer, what happens? This ability is lost. Which ability is lost?
Contact inhibition.
So, will the growth stop? Will the growth of cells stop?
No.
No. So, the cells will continuously be formed, and those extra growth of cells causes a tumor. Getting it? How cancer works? So, cancer is actually not a disease, but extra growth of the cells in the body. And why does it occur? Due to some conditions. Let us see what are the conditions. Now, it is an uncontrolled growth of abnormal cells in the body. Cancer occurs when normal cell, due to uncontrolled mitotic division, are converted into tumor cells. You can't control it. It is now out of control. Contact inhibition has lost. The resulting uncontrolled growth forms a mass of cell called tumor. Cancerous cells are also called malignant cells. Symptoms of cancer depend on the type and location of the cancer. Remember, malignant and benign. Now, tumor are of two types. One is benign tumor and one is malignant tumor. Benign tumors are one which remain located at only one position. They will not spread. They will remain fixed at one position. So it can be removed surgically. But the risk with benign is it can get converted into malignant. Now, what is malignant tumor? What is benign tumor?
Which says that it's given was
Yeah, it stays at only one place. It doesn't move. And malignant tumor is, it spreads throughout the body. So, benign are easy to handle and less risky. Malignants are more risky, remember. And why are they more risky? Because they spread through the lymph nodes. Remember, lymph nodes are many in the body. There are many junctions in the body of lymph nodes. So cancerous cells spread very fast because they have a great transport system. And the transport system is what? Lymph nodes. That is why you might have seen breast cancer is very common nowadays. Why? Because the junction of breast is connected to a lymph node which is near the armpit. Once the cancerous cells of the breast reach the armpit, They spread throughout the body. So breast cancer then form tumors at other places. Not to never forget. See, if the location of the tumor is given, that means it has started at that place. Person with breast cancer can also get intestinal cancer. Please do not get confused. People think breast cancer है तो breast cancer तक ही रहेगा. No, it can spread throughout the body if it reaches the junction. Now, how the stages are given? Stages are given according to the spread of cancer. First stage cancer means it is still at its location. It is still at its original location. Second stage cancer means now it is starting to prepare. It is starting to prepare to change its location or to move, to spread. When it goes into third stage, now the spreading has started. Spreading has started. Fourth stage is now it has spread across various locations. And fifth or the final stage of cancer is it is throughout the body. Getting it? The stages, how stages are given.
Yes, sir.
Then now how are cancer induced? They are induced by physical, chemical or biological factors or agents. The agents causing cancer are called carcinogens or cancer causing agents. Tobacco smoke contains chemical carcinogens that cause lung cancer. We have seen that before a movie begins, there is always a disclaimer about tobacco. So that is what they want to say. Viruses also cause cancer. These are called oncogenic viruses, as they have genes called viral oncogenes. Oncology is the study of cancer. So oncogene, cancer causing genes. Leukemia or blood cancer can be detected based on the biopsy or histopathological studies of tissue and blood and bone marrow test for increased cell count. Leukemia is abnormally high RBC count, WBC count. Abnormally high. Expected count, abnormally high is too much. WBC are too much in the body. That causes blood cancer or leukemia. Now, cancer therapies are cryotherapy, cryosurgery, proton therapy, radiation therapy, stem cell transplantation, peripheral stem cell transplantation. You might have heard surgery, then chemotherapy, then radiation. All the things come under these. Now, the last is genetic disorder. Genetic disorders, the ones which are passed from one generation to another, are called genetic disorders. Now, first is autosomal recessive disorder. Now, let us see the types. First is albinism. Do you know albinism? What are albinos? Do you know what are albinos? Yes, anybody? Can you tell me what are albinos? Albinos are people who are completely white. No melanin. No melanin pigment present. The brown coloration of our skin is because of melanin. Albinos do not have melanin. And the opposite of albino is negro. You know negro? Negro means they have too much of melanin. Getting it? So albinism is what? It is a disease where the body is unable to produce melanin pigment. And it is characterized by absence of normal coloration of the skin. You might have seen some people are very white in our surroundings. Around us, there are some people who are completely white. So that is not because they are from a foreign country. That is because they are suffering from this disease. Second is galactosemia. This is due to defect in galactose metabolism. This may cause mental retardation. Galactose metabolism. Now, galactose is another sugar which is like glucose. It is present in milk. milk contains lactose sugar, and lactose breaks down into glucose and galactose. Remember, so galactose metabolism, breakdown of galactose, if it is not done properly, this disease comes, and it's a genetic disorder. It passes from one generation to another. Phenylketonuria. It occurs due to deficiency of enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase, which converts phenylalanine into tyrosine. Symptoms are mental retardation, typical color of skin and urine. Now, phenylketonuria, if you want to understand, please take that into mind, is urine is brownish in color. Urine is brownish in color, and this enzyme is responsible for metabolism inside the brain. So if this enzyme is not produced in the sufficient quantity, will the brain work properly? No. So if brain is not working properly, it will result to mental retardation. Second is alkaptonuria. Alkaptonuria is called black urine. Urine is black in color. This is also a metabolic disease. What happens? The enzyme is not present, which oxidizes some compounds in the body. So if that enzyme is not present, the urine will be black in color. Then sickle cell anemia, the most common disease, one of the most common disease. The RBCs contain hemoglobin, and RBCs have great surface area for oxygen transport. But if RBC become elongated or curved, surface area will decrease. And if it is decreasing, that means it is unable to take sufficient oxygen. Why? Because the hemoglobin is defective. Remember, hemoglobin is the one which increases surface area. So if hemoglobin is defective or not working properly, the surface area will change. And if it will change, it will not take oxygen, the sufficient amount of oxygen, and which will cause this disease, sickle cell anemia. The RBCs become sickle shaped. X-linked recessive disorders. X-linked means transmitted from mother to the child. First is hemophilia. I always talk about this disease. It's also known as the royal bleeders disease. It has appeared in several royal families of Europe, apparently arising from a mutation in one parent of Queen Victoria of England, hence called the royal disease. In this disorder, blood coagulation does not take place. That means if the person is injured and is bleeding, the bleeding will never stop. Why? Because the factor which is responsible for the coagulation, factor 8, is absent. Color blindness is a disease which in which the person cannot distinguish between green and red color. Some people have red-blue color blindness, like Mr. Mark Zuckerberg. He has red-blue color blindness. So colorblind persons cannot service in railway department because red and green color, they cannot see that, then how will they signal? Also known as daltonism. And then Y-linked recessive disorder. Y-linked is transported from father to son, from son to grandson. Why? Because only male has Y. And the only disease which we have to know is hypertrichosis. The hairs which come out of our ears, that is known as hypertrichosis. That is transported from father to son to grandson, and so on. Now let us move to the last part of our chapter, vaccination and immunization. I don't think I need to explain this at a greater rate because we might have experienced it during the lockdown period. So I will just go through the summarized form. So the principle of vaccination and immunization is based upon memory of the immune system. We want to remind the immune system of these things. That is why vaccination is done. In vaccination, a preparation of inactivated or weakened pathogen, which is called vaccine, is introduced in the body. So basically, the vaccines which we take are basically dead or weakened pathogens. Then once it enters our body starts a response, and that response is via antibodies. Because the vaccine or the ones pathogens which has come inside the body are called antigens. So antibodies should be produced against these antigens, and then it neutralizes the pathogen, and then it stores the memory of that pathogen. And if the person is suffering from the same pathogen again, the antibodies come there and stop their activity and prevent the infection. Vaccine also generate memory, B and T cells that recognize the pathogen quickly on subsequent exposure and act against them. The massive production of antibodies. So that memory is important, because once we know, yes, this is the pathogen, so we need that antibody. So if because the antibodies are fixed, specific, I can't send antibodies of one disease against another. Every antibody is specific to every pathogen or every antigen. So if I know the antigen, I can send the antibody. That is what is the basis of vaccination. Now, Edward Jenner discovered the first vaccine. Louis Pasteur invented the vaccine for rabies. Robert Koch discovered anthrax bacteria, and penicillin was given by Sir Alexander Fleming from Penicillium fungus. These are some important scientists, out of which I personally recommend you to remember the fourth one. Why? Because penicillin is one of the most important antibiotic in the history of medicine. Why is this so? During World War, there were a lot of casualties, lot of injuries. Now, those injuries were exposed to atmosphere, and the atmosphere contained microorganisms which caused infection at the spot of injuries, and people were dying at a rapid rate. If you see, there were around 60 to 80,000 people who died due to infections on the injuries. So that number was increasing day by day. But when penicillin was discovered by Mr. Alexander Fleming, it almost eradicated all the infections. Why? Because antibiotic, that means against the living organism, using a microorganism to kill another microorganism. So once the injured people were then injected with penicillium, and penicillium then destroyed the infection, and it prevented the further deaths. So that is why I personally would like to recommend you to remember the fourth one. Now here they have given a table where at what age, what kind of medicine or vaccination you should be doing. Though if the age is 3 to 12 months, DPT vaccine, polio vaccine, BCG vaccine. The 9 to 15, measles vaccine. And 18 to 24 is DTP booster and polio booster. Then what is immunity? The ability to defend itself from most of the foreign agents. The ability of the human body or the ability of the host to defend itself against the incoming foreign agent. The parts of body that act together to achieve immunity constitute the immune system. Immunology is the branch of science that studies immunity. Emil von Behring is considered to be the father of immunology. Now, types of immunity, the last part. One is innate, which is acquired from birth. The one which is acquired from birth, from the mother. And second is acquired, which is pathogen specific and acquired by memory. When you are suffering from fever, cough and all. So during that experience, when you are suffering, The body is regaining its memory. The body is storing the memory of all these symptoms, all these pathogens. And that is how we acquire. Now, there are two types of immune systems found in our body. One is humoral, one is cell mediated. B lymphocyte produce antibodies and T cells help them in the process. Now, antibodies are IgA, IgM, IgE, IgG, and IgD present in the blood. They are humoral immune response, antibody mediated. The second type of is called cell mediated response or cell mediated immunity. The T cells mediate CMI. Now remember, if they are talking about cell mediated immunity, two types of cells will come: lymphocytes, which are WBC, and monocytes. Why? Lymphocytes, what will they do? They will do phagocytosis. They will try to destroy the bacteria or the pathogen, and monocytes eat them. Pac-Man. Pac-Man, have you seen Pac-Man? It eats continuously. Monocytes are like Pac-Man. So in cell mediated, which ones are activated? Lymphocytes and monocytes. In humoral, the immunoglobulins IgA, IgE, IgD, IgE, IgM. Those immunoglobulins are produced. Now there are various health organizations which work. One is WHO, part of United Nations organization, developed in 1948. Then Red Cross, it was founded in 1864, very old. It's a red colored plus. And third is UNICEF, United Nations International Emergency Funds, Children's Emergency Fund. It's an organization of UNO, of course. So these are the health organizations which we need to know. So with this, we have completed this chapter. My request to all of you is to solve the MCQs of this chapter. In physics, solve the MCQs of magnetism chapter. In chemistry, I hope we finish the chapter of chemistry by tomorrow. And on Saturday, as I discussed, we will discuss 50 MCQs. I will make a paper and we will have paper discussion for each subject based on whatever we have completed. So now I request one of the students to to become the host, because now my lecture is over, and for the other lecture to continue,
बच्चे
you have
आंसर
to.
दे रहे क्या सर?
बच्चे आंसर दे रहे ना सर?
हाँ, अभी 10 बजे तक पढ़ाओ, 10 बजे दूसरा लेक्चर चालू होने वाला है. हाँ
सर 9:40 तक रहता सर,
कितना?
9:40 तक रहता सर, 9:40.
10 बजे तक पढ़ाओ ना. तुमको जाने का, काम पे आने का?
सर ब्रेकफास्ट का टाइम है ना सर.
ब्रेकफास्ट? अरे अभी घर से कर रहे हैं ना, तो पढ़ाते पढ़ाते ब्रेकफास्ट करने का सट्टा कब सीखेगा सोहेल?
हाँ ठीक है सर.
हाँ
सर ये चैप्टर खत्म हो गया, इसके लिए मैं बोला, नहीं तो फिर मैं कंटिन्यू किया.
उसके क्वेश्चन डिस्कस करने का ना, हो गया क्या क्वेश्चन आंसर?
अभी क्वेश्चन स्टार्ट करते हैं ना सर. फिर
क्वेश्चन पूरे डिस्कस हो गए क्या?
अभी सर क्वेश्चन पेपर ही डिस्कस करें, इसके क्वेश्चन से डिस्कस करें बायो के.
हाँ, क्वेश्चन डिस्कस करना चाहिए.
ओके ओके सर.
वहां पे कौन है? आयाज है, शाबाश को बोलना चाहिए कंटिन्यू करो, बंद मत करो करके. तो फिर
हाँ वही मैं बोल रहा था सर.
यूट्यूब लाइव है ना, उसको बंद करने का.
हाँ मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ, मैं वही.
ಶಾಬಾಸ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಡಾಡ ರಂಡಾಳ ರಂಡಾಳ ಬಂದು ಕೂಡ ಆಡ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಲೈವ್ ಆಗ ಮೈಕೋ ಕಟ್ಟಾಕ ಮೈಕೋ ನೋಕ ಸ್ಟುಡಿಯೋ ಪೋಂಬರ್ लाइव कट्टा कंबर. आंसर क्या सर? 18 का आंसर क्या? 18 का
18. Which of the following is the causative agent of cerebral malaria? सर falciparum है, Plasmodium falciparum.
शाबाश. किधर है तू? किधर है तू?
सर शाबाश भाई घर पे है मेरे ख्याल में, वो वहां से लिंक भेज रहे हैं सर ऑनलाइन का. So until then, let us discuss the questions. Extreme swelling of legs and feet is the main symptom of which disease? Tell me. Yes. Extreme swelling of legs and feet is the symptom of which disease?
See,
Elephantiasis. Correct. Now let us go to the second question. Which of the following is a bacterial disease? Tell me which is bacterial disease.
Leprosy.
Leprosy. Because ringworm is fungal, AIDS is viral, and malaria is protozoan. Which of the following is related to diphtheria disease? Diphtheria से कौन related है? Answer is throat. Sore throat. DPT vaccine. Which disease DPT vaccine is used? Yes, DPT vaccine. Full form is diphtheria pertussis tetanus. So diphtheria is there in option B. So answer is option B. AIDS is caused by. What is the answer for fifth? AIDS is caused by. Yes. Anybody? Virus. Next, in our body, immune system is suppressed by. Yes, we were on question number 6. Please tell me the answer for question number 6. Yes, question number 6. Anybody?
AIDS.
What is the answer?
AIDS.
AIDS. 7th. Cancer is a disease caused by
Carcinogens.
carcinogens. Very nice. Most effective medicine for bacteria. Quinine. Quinine is the answer. Then viral disease कौन है बताओ? 9th का आंसर कौन बताएगा मुझे? कौन बताएगा? Let me see who has connected. I will ask that person. कौन है connected? Yes, Nivedita will give me the answer for 9th. Nivedita, what is the answer for 9th?
C. Is it C?
Yes.
Is it C, sir?
So answer is option C. I think she told C. Now, which disease is called royal disease? Anshul,
Hemophilia.
hemophilia. Very nice. Black death is the name given to plague. Ascaris is transmitted through
Contaminated food.
contaminated food. Rats are known to transmit germs for Yes,
Sir, plague.
plague. Infection of taniasis usually occurs by contaminated food and water. Poliovirus was first prepared by Salk. Yesterday I was talking, Mr. Bachchan comes in the ad, Do Boon Zindagi Ke. That was created by Mr. J. Salk. Please keep that in mind. Hemophilia is due to sex-linked dominant gene. Sex-linked dominant gene because it expresses from one generation to another. Genetic disorder कौन है? Question number 17.
Sickle cell.
Sickle cell anemia. 18. Cerebral malaria. Agent for cerebral malaria. I think I gave the answer. Sir was asking me. Answer is
Yes.
Plasmodium falciparum. Question number 19. Bacteria कौन नहीं है out of them? Answer is Wuchereria bancrofti. Wuchereria bancrofti is a worm. Other three are bacteria. Next, 20. Which is not common in India? Which disease is not common in India? Yellow fever is not common in India. AIDS is caused by HIV virus. What kind of virus is HIV virus? Retrovirus. Cure to spinal injury is likely to emerge from spinal injury. How can you cure spinal injury? Stem cell therapy is the answer. Now, leishmania, causative agent of Kala Azar, multiplies by 23. Multiple fission is the answer. Now, the other questions I want you guys to do. My request to one of the students is who is online or who is at the studio, please become the host. Please become the host so that the next session is started without any difficulty. Yes, if anybody is at the studio, please become the host and remove me as the host. Please do that. Yes, please remove me as the host and become the host if anybody is there at the studio. Let us meet tomorrow and we shall continue with the new chapter. Thank you.